This is a relay project.
Real Talk starts right now. Here's Ryan Jesperson.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Real Talk. Right out of the gates in our live chat powered by Park Power, I see there's Kyle. Yankees lose. It was a big night for your Toronto Blue Jays as they will move on and, of course, pursue that ultimate goal of the franchise's third World Series title. Lots to celebrate, and we do have a more local look at sports, if you will. A Battle of Alberta waged on Rogers Place ice to kick off the Oilers and the Flames season about 12 hours ago. That's coming up in Alberta Wins, presented by our friends at Play Alberta. But we've got a lot to talk about today, including what's happening stateside. The U.S. government's been shut down for about a week now. The impact that it's having there. This, of course, amid the Mark Carney visit with Donald Trump, and a whole lot happening as Canada continues to work toward hammering out a trade deal with the United States. Those talks continue. Of course, we're a short ways away. Like, we're talking like almost 2 weeks away, less, as a matter of fact, from the Alberta election, those municipal elections that will, or at least could, dramatically change the look of city councils in several different Alberta cities, towns across the province, and of course, let's not forget those school boards too. We're going to be talking to two independent journalism outfits. Our friends at Edify and Taproot Edmonton are going to join us today to talk about not just why they're covering the election in the fashion that they are. It's different from the so-called mainstream media, but also how they're doing it. A lot of ground to cover on this episode of the show, but let's kick things off immediately with a visit down literally to the White House in our feature interview today, presented by our friends at Mercedes-Benz Edmonton West. You know him if you're a regular audience member here on Real Talk. He is the host of the Wyatt Sharpe Show. You can find that on YouTube. This guy is all over the place covering the stories that matter today. He's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Wyatt Sharpe. Wyatt, what's shaking? It's good to see you.
You too. How's it going?
I'm doing great. That's an incredible flex for you, literally right outside the White House. What's going on with you right now? Talk to us about why you're there and what you're keeping an eye on.
Yeah, it's certainly been a pretty chaotic past couple of days. There's been a number of stories. Obviously, the government shutdown is the one that's most local to people in Washington and the United States, but also some of the foreign and geopolitical stories, if you look to what's happening with Gaza. And then, of course, the most obvious one between Canada and the United States was the fact that Prime Minister Mark Carney was here this week as well. Donald Trump praised him a number of times in the Oval Office, which I will say is not very like Donald Trump, as we've seen a number of times when various world leaders have come to the White House and visited him. Donald Trump does have a tendency to kind of call them out, whereas he didn't really take that same approach with Mark Carney. So it's been a very busy, very exciting day so far, and we're going to have some interviews coming up as well over the course of the day, and just kind of talking to some lawmakers as well about the government shutdown. One thing about the shutdown, I think, is that people are generally speaking quite frustrated in kind of the DC area, but also around the country here in the United States, about the fact that their lawmakers can't come to some form of a compromise and that they can't agree. And a lot of them, it seems, are kind of fighting for political reasons, which is unfortunate. So just trying to stay on top of those stories and hopefully much more.
Yeah, incredible. We had sort of a local angle, or at least a local impact of that government shutdown. We had a meeting scheduled here in the Real Talk studio with a couple representatives from the U.S. Embassy. We're going to be talking to us about a project. They emailed us. They said, we're going to have to reschedule. They said, because everything's shut down in our office right now. Tiny issue, big picture, big one for us. I mean, like we said, the shutdown's extending past that 1 week mark as Congress deadlocked on a funding plan. Of course, it means that the FAA announcing that at least 6 air traffic control facilities short-staffed. Travelers are going to feel that impact. I don't know, maybe even you as you make your way back home. U.S. military families trying to figure out how they're going to cope because they're not getting paid. The president suggesting that a lot of the federal workers that are asking for back pay can keep on wishing, but they're not going to get it. It's impacting folks in real tangible terms. You talk about the political element of it. Is there any reason that you can sense or any reason for optimism here that this thing could sort itself out?
I mean, I think just for your viewers to kind of understand, there's kind of the CR that happens every time, which is basically to extend kind of what the funding and appropriations process has been. But then there's also the clean CR, which kind of just pushes people to get to a point basically and extend the current level at a point where they can then negotiate further. And both the Republicans and the Democrats have put a clean CR forward. The Democrat one is looking to, extend healthcare subsidies, which is not something that Republicans are looking to do. The Republicans have kind of come at this from the angle of we want to put forward a clean CR that will just kind of keep everything the same. It actually has a number of Biden era appropriations kind of numbers and figures in that process. And then their kind of perspective is then we'll take the next month or so and then we'll be able to revisit it come November, I think is the next deadline there. But Democrats are also saying, why would we push it back to November when we're going to be in the same position then? We might as well just try and solve everything now. So it's kind of going back and forth. And I also think neither side is willing to make any concessions at this point in time, just because they are so kind of destined on their own beliefs and they want to kind of try and enact the policies that they are looking for, as is politics, of course, but here especially.
Yeah, we were talking briefly on our most recent episode about the Carney-Trump dynamic, which, as you alluded to, it's striking. The two of them, I mean, essentially, they're praising each other. That's what I'd call it. Carney doubled down. It's the second time that he's called Trump a transformative leader. Trump calls Carney a great negotiator, a tip of the cap amid negotiations, which you don't always expect to see. Those conversations are continuing, right? You've got Ministers Anand and LeBlanc down there continuing to talk with the end game of striking a deal, although everything I'm reading, people are suggesting a deal may not be imminent. What's the word on the street?
I mean, I think it's hard to gauge, just given the fact I said this earlier too today, just in the sense of I think so many people in kind of this White House and DC environment, like world leaders coming to the White House and stuff is very much expected. You have even today, for example, the president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, is going to be visiting the White House as well. And so it's just really, it's not something that Mark Carney coming was a big deal to people here, as opposed to in Canada, of course, it was very much a big deal. People were talking about it. People are still talking about it. But you touch on kind of an interesting point in terms of how world leaders perceive Donald Trump. You mentioned Mark Carney. Another example is, of course, on some of the Gaza news in recent days and the phase one of the peace deal that Donald Trump has said that he's tried to negotiate himself. And you have people like Anthony Albanese, who's, of course, leader of the Labour Party, a very liberal prime minister of Australia as well, who's come out and said that Donald Trump very much deserves praise on that as well. You have people like Hillary Clinton, who ran against Donald Trump, who has said that Donald Trump should have praise on that too. So it's interesting because I think we're getting to a point, maybe potentially, where Donald Trump is trying to appeal to people that he wouldn't otherwise be able to attract. And it's working in the sense of he's starting to have some of these people come over to support him, not on everything, of course, but on some of these geopolitical issues. Of course, these are issues too that really does require unity domestically within the United States. And if you don't have unity domestically, you're not really going to be able to help kind of solve and mitigate some of the challenges overseas.
Wyatt, I guess just over 24 hours from when you and I were talking, the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 is going to be announced at a press conference at the Norwegian Nobel Institute. And everybody knows that Trump has his eyes on it. Trump really wants it. And, of course, directly tied to whatever develops in the Middle East. How many people are talking about it down in D.C.? And if you were a betting man, I don't know if you are, but what would your wager look like? Is this going to be his year?
I think I might have some trouble with the law if I was a betting man.
Yeah, you're 16. Never mind. Bad idea.
I mean, I think to kind of just preface this, I think people take it as a joke. Obviously, he might take it seriously. If you look, I mentioned Hillary Clinton. She's an example of someone who had come out and who had said, oh, if he is able to solve kind of peace and kind of find peace in that region, then yes, that is something that he would and potentially could be considered for. But again, that's all just kind of, I think, talking in playful terms, whereas the difference is Donald Trump, I think, is legitimately serious about it. In terms of whether or not he's going to get it, I personally don't think so. I don't know who would get it, but I just think that historically speaking, we're only in phase one of this deal. It was just announced yesterday, and there's a lot of time for things to go wrong. And people always say, I mean, there was a ceasefire beforehand. So if we're working to just kind of go back to the status quo, there needs to be kind of more than just a temporary ceasefire, as people have been saying all along.
All right. Well, Wyatt, for those that are watching or streaming us live in the Real Talk live stream presented by California Closets, it's 10:40 Eastern right now, and that's your hard out. Where are you off to now? What does your day look like in D.C.?
I'm going to the Capitol to do some interviews with lawmakers. Members of the House, some of them are still here. all of the senators are here, but some of the House members went home, even though there's a government shutdown, which makes sense. There's a government shutdown. Why would you want to stay in the place to try and come to an agreement? But that is, I guess, again, the kind of political figures working for you. So,
yeah, no kidding. Hey, listen, buddy, we always appreciate when you can spare a few moments for us. Absolutely admire your grind and your hustle. I want to make sure that people are checking out the newsforum.ca. That's where you'll find Forum Focus, hosted by Wyatt Sharpe, who's been joining us live from the White House, presented by Mercedes-Benz Edmonton West. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Yeah, always appreciate it. You bet. I love this from Emily, Johnny, in our live chat. Emily says, I'm getting old. He looks 12. Wyatt Sharpe, 16 years of age, and this guy's been doing it for years and doing an incredible job. Officially, our White House correspondent in this episode of the show. We're going to be talking about municipal elections in Alberta. That's coming up a little bit later on in the show. But, of course, Real Talk is if you joined us in our most recent episode. And I want to touch on something quickly, by the way. We had some gremlins, circumstances outside our control in our most recent episode that interrupted our YouTube live stream. If this ever happens again, and I know that superstitious audience members may say, Jespo, why are you even talking about it? Why are you even putting this into the universe? We just wanted to remind you, while this is literally the most frustrating thing that we could ever possibly encounter, and it happens very, very rarely from time to time, there's nothing we can do about an interruption, a catastrophic interruption to our YouTube live stream. A reminder, we always have bulletproof audio, which means that our podcast episodes are always released in their entirety. And if you are ever keenly following the live stream and the YouTube episode is interrupted, a reminder, you can always follow Real Talk live streaming on the Mixlr audio app. We saw numbers-wise a whole bunch of you migrated over to there and continued to enjoy the show on Mixlr. That's where you can find Real Talk live streaming audio in your car on demand. Make sure you download that app today. Thanks for those of you that stuck with us as we worked through it. In our most recent episode of the show, that was the 8th of October, we sat down one-on-one with Alberta's Education Minister Demetrios Nicolaides. We're now day 4 into this Alberta teachers strike. 51,000 teachers out of the classroom, an estimated 740,000 students. How's that for a perspective check? 750,000 students, let me call it, a little less than that, out of the classroom right now. And I know everybody wants them back in there. At least most of you do. We wanted to get to some of your emails. We have not seen an influx of emails from the most engaged talk audience in Canada, an influx like this in a very long time. Like I'm talking, you remember Aloha Gate? You remember when some of Jason Kenney's UCP MLAs and as a matter of fact, cabinet ministers were on like Hawaiian and other tropical vacations when they were telling everybody else not to travel? That was literally, and I'm talking in tangible, real numbers. That was the last time that this show has seen the number of emails that we're seeing right now about the teachers' strike. This is your show, and we will continue to extend this platform to you. So I've got a few that I want to get to here in a quick second. But if you did not have a chance to catch our interview with Alberta's Education Minister Demetrios Nicolaides, here's the gist of what he had to say in 75 seconds or less. What does it tell you when literally tens of thousands of Albertans turn out of these rallies? What does it say to you? How does it land with you when teachers say that they're feeling disrespected, that they're disheartened? In real life, how does that land with you as minister?
We strongly respect our teachers. We value them tremendously. So I understand classrooms are growing. There's no question. We wouldn't have announced an $8.6 billion initiative to build and modernize 130 schools if we didn't think we need the space. My concern is that this degenerates into a lot of rhetoric and finger pointing, which I don't think is going to be helpful. I know our teachers pour their heart and soul into providing the best possible education for our kids. They work extremely hard under challenging conditions these past few years, as our province has really been pummeled by a significant increase in population. I don't think the strike is helpful. I don't think it's productive.
You do have the option of ordering teachers back to work. Is there a time limit legitimate, a line drawn in the sand?
The government does have a variety of legislative and legal mechanisms that we can implement to direct teachers back to work. In terms of a line in the sand, teachers do have a right to strike. However, we are concerned if there is irreparable harm that is being caused to students due to a lack of ability to receive their education and continue with their education, that would be a significant line in the sand for us.
Ultimately, are you concerned that the longer that this goes, that this does harm Alberta's reputation?
Well, I'm concerned first and foremost that the longer this goes on, the longer students are out of the classroom and the longer their learning is impacted. We're listening very carefully to the needs of our education system. We're responding, building schools, we're increasing funding to support students with complex needs. We can continue to have those conversations without the strike. So I'm very concerned.
Very concerned, so says the Education Minister. Pat's comment jumps out at me in our live chat powered by Park Power. Pat says, unfortunately, Ryan, your questions yesterday were weak. Did you have to get your questions approved? I'm asking the guy how he feels that teachers are telling him they're disrespected. Where's the line in the sand? Will you order them back to work? Are you worried Alberta's reputation will be damaged? Not strong enough questions for Pat. That's fine. I guess not enough profanity. But his comments did prompt a big response from you, Real Talkers. Here's honestly just a small selection of the comments we're getting to the show, and keep those coming. To talk at ryanjesperson.com. Nicole writes in, says, Jespo, I was listening this morning. Thanks, Nicole. Says, I've decided it was time to write into the show. She says, I've got many different roles in my life, including a mom of 3 teens, currently enrolled in Edmonton Catholic School. She says, I'm a teacher in a 2nd grade at an Edmonton Catholic School. Thank you, Nicole. And she says, I'm also one of the VPs of Edmonton Catholic Teachers Local 54. So she's seen this from a number of different perspectives. Says, I'm concerned in particular for my grade 12 student, should be preparing for life outside of high school, but consistently finding herself not at the top of the priority list in her classrooms because her needs aren't the highest. She doesn't have a huge vocal personality. She'll wait for somebody to notice her when she needs help. Nicole, I get it. She says she failed her Physics 20 class last year because she had 36 students in there. And when she took the class over again in the summer, there were 18 students. Her grade increased by 73%. She went from a 45 to a 78. She says because she still had time with her teacher. My math must be off on that. But she says that's not fair to her or any of the other teachers in the room. These kids, she says, at 17, let's be honest, they're still kids, deserve better, and it's not the teacher's fault. Nicole says, I'm concerned for my grade 9 student who's found himself moved to a high school this year because the K-9 that he had been attending had to move their 9th graders due to overcrowding. So our son's now in a building where the smallest class is 36, worried that he won't be able to keep up with the rigid schedule that high schoolers follow. He's not in high school yet, but at 14, yeah, sure, he's capable of handling difficult things, but having so few minutes with a teacher when he's desperate for help because of just how many other kids are in the room, that shouldn't be one of his concerns. He's at the beginning of his high school journey. He shouldn't be exhausted already. Nicole says, I'm concerned for my grade 7 student, has never had a class smaller than 30, has never known a classroom to have an appropriate number of students where teachers can help him when he needs it. He shouldn't have to check in with his peers for help with content because the teacher's dealing with major behavioral issues, students with disabilities, students who require translations because they're not yet fluent in English. Every student deserves the time of their teacher, not just those who call the loudest. I love how you're putting that. She says, I'm concerned for my grade 2 class. And Nicole says, I have 29 students that year, but I'm sure that number's going to grow as the year progresses. My initial grade list had 25 on it at the end of August, 4 new students over the course of a month. Not anything new in our school. I'm teaching in the southwest of Edmonton. The community is growing at a stunning pace. Minister kept alluding to that yesterday, didn't he? Alberta's population explosion. As if we didn't know. I mean, Alberta asked for it, right? Alberta got what it asked for. Let's not ever let our government forget that. Nicole says, I have 11 students who are English language learners, 3 of them on individualized programming, 5 who are not yet learning at a grade level, including not yet knowing the sounds of letters or numbers past 50 in grade 2. She says, these students take up most of my time. And I'm finding I can give fewer than 5 minutes of personal attention a day to each of my students. It's simply not fair. She says, I'm concerned for my colleagues. I'm concerned for teachers across the province. We're burning out at an alarming rate. We're overworked, overwhelmed, and unsupported. I've got colleagues who have taken leave from classrooms this year who are considering leaving the profession altogether, and I'm concerned for the student teacher I'll have this year as well. May or may not choose to stay in the profession after completing her schooling, because the reality is it is so much harder than what you learn about in university. We as mentors can only do so much to prepare these future educators. Nicole says, I'm going to be sending emails to my MLA, the Minister of Education, Finance Minister, the NDP's education critic, and the Premier. And I'm saddened to know that the only ones who will actually listen to me are the ones outside of government. I worry that these concerns will not actually be heard. The issues will continue to decline. Nicole says, I voted to strike because I want to improve the future of Alberta. I'm on strike because my children, my students, and my colleagues deserve better. They deserve a properly funded education system where they're valued, listened to, and supported in the best way possible. Isaac wrote into the show. He says, Jespo, I want to start by thanking Real Talk for taking the time to talk about this teacher's strike and for inviting conversation about the state of public education in Alberta. While there's often disagreement, says Isaac, discourse and debate are really helpful in finding clarity and consensus. Says, when I was listening to your interview with Minister Nicolaides, he really misrepresented that MOU, that Memorandum of Understanding that teachers rejected. It's been a common line from this government that union leadership and frontline teachers aren't on the same page. Minister was saying that. I mean, and the fact of the matter is the teachers bargaining team basically comes back, right? They basically negotiate something with the government. They put it back in front of the teachers, and then it fails by a vote of almost 90%, right? So it's interesting optics, and both sides will have their spin on that. I've heard from a lot of you teachers, by the way, we're getting a lot of scuttlebutt around the election. Keep it coming in. For those of you saying, by the way, can you keep this off the record? Can you keep it confidential? Absolutely, for sure. A lot of you are saying, listen, our bargaining team put something in front of us knowing it was going to fail because they wanted to trigger the strike. That's why that happened. That's what we're hearing from teachers. Here's what Isaac says about it. He says, it might seem like the case, like we're not on the same page, but I assure you that it's not true. He says Alberta teachers have never been more united in what we expect from a new collective agreement, and our union is doing its best to squeeze juice from the UCP stone. Says, let me be absolutely clear. The government is well aware of what we will accept. And while the Premier says that she believes that the two sides are close, she's either purposefully misinforming the public or just straight up ignorant about the current issue. We are not close. It says more teachers rejected that MOU than the mediator's recommendation, and it's because this government refuses to take the issues facing public education seriously. Isaac goes on and gives us a ton of incredible background information, but basically says what we want are contractual protections and a plan to improve teaching and learning conditions. A lot of you are referencing other jurisdictions in Canada where teachers have that already. Isaac says we want that in our collective agreement, that classes have caps and that the government will provide the support that students need. And while this likely results in the hiring of more teachers, what's most important for teachers is to have protections that force government action. It's a nuanced difference from simply hiring 3,000 teachers, but it's an important distinction as the collective agreement is binding and a commitment to hire 3,000 teachers is not. And we heard from Catherine. This is a great one. Catherine says, Jespo, I love Real Talk. I celebrate the show's strong ability to present and discuss the many views surrounding each topic. She says, here's my take on defunding private schools. Real Talkers, by the way, Jespo here, not Catherine. Back to your email in a sec. I'm not sure if you saw this, but Alberta teachers actually launched a petition. They want to see private schools defunded in the province of Alberta. We'll keep an eye on that. That's an interesting development. I never, ever want to be somebody that clamps down on someone's idea, that tries to stifle a citizen initiative. But I will tell you that this government and this Premier is probably representative of Alberta's strongest ever commitment to private and charter schools, to homeschooling for that matter. So interesting to see where that petition goes. I'm not sure I like its chances. Doesn't mean you shouldn't sign it if you feel strongly. Here's what Catherine has to say about it. If public funding for private schools is opposed on the grounds that such institutions cater to select populations and promote specialized forms of education, it's important to consider how this rationale applies to the numerous specialized academy programs that are advertised by public boards. These programs, oftentimes offered for an additional fee, are designed to provide targeted or enriched learning experiences within publicly funded schools across Alberta. Much like private schools, these academies, these specialty programs can be seen as forming elite groups that reflect neoliberal or even capitalist ideologies. And although these initiatives are technically not-for-profit, Catherine says their underlying purpose frequently involves attracting a greater number of students, thereby increasing overall revenue and institutional prestige. Similarly, she says the existence of publicly funded Hutterite colony schools raises further questions about consistency in funding policies. Says these schools, akin to private institutions that aim to preserve specific linguistic, cultural, or religious traditions, also receive public support to maintain and transmit distinct community identities. Catherine says, keep it up and go Oilers go. Wonder how she's feeling about last night's Battle of Alberta result. Catherine, thanks for the email. You can send yours in to us to talk@ryanjesperson.com. We'll commit to continuing to give you the floor, and that includes the flamethrower presented by our friends at the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. We deliver that to you every single Friday as we wrap our week. These are your hottest takes. These are your fieriest messages, most often submitted again to our email. You can also leave comments in our YouTube episode, and sometimes we'll pick from that. Johnny, I'm not sure if you saw this. I asked our friends at the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park if we could talk about this, if we could share this. They shared a photo with us last night. I can confirm that Leon Draisaitl's beautiful bride, Celeste, placed an order at a DQ in Northwest Edmonton last night. I think that this kind of flew under the radar, the race to 400. I don't know if this was on your radar or not, but Leon obviously with a big one last night for the Oilers as they opened up their season. And check this out. Nobody does ice cream cakes like DQ does ice cream cakes. And here it is. Congratulations on 400 goals. That is the DQ ice cream cake that we can confirm made it to Casa Draisaitl, to Leon Draisaitl's house last night. This is the order that his wife placed. And a shout out to our friends at the DQs in Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park for sharing that with us. That's an exclusive for you Real Talkers, by the way. You're not going to see that on TSN. You're not going to see that on Sportsnet. You're going to see it right here on Real Talk. That's the inside scoop. We're going to be talking about the Alberta election in just a moment. In particular, how a couple of independent journalism outfits are covering it. They're covering it differently than anybody else, and there's good reason for it. And it's also doing an incredible service to Albertans, in particular those in the Metro Edmonton region that want to make an informed decision. And who doesn't? If you're a member of our Calgary viewing audience, and a shout out to everybody in Southern Alberta, a reminder that coming up in our next episode, that's going to be the 10th of October. That's Friday, the Friday right before Thanksgiving. We will present, this is our Real Talk Calgary mayoral debate. And we're going to be joined by Jeremy Farkas, Jody Gondek, Jeff Davison is going to join us, Brian Thiessen, and Sonia Sharpe. All five of them checking into our Zoom, and we'll get into a robust debate that'll kick off at exactly 8:30 Mountain Time. That's our next episode coming up on Friday, the 10th of October. Every Thursday, courtesy of our friends at Play Alberta, we focus on a story where Alberta wins on the national or international stage. And every once in a while, we're going to talk to you about something, in Alberta Win. Last week, it was the town of Innisfail, a big carbon capture prize. Innisfail, of course, doing big things when it comes to stamping down Alberta's environmental footprint. The footprint, of course, that is a result of industry activity. But this week, we're focusing on the obvious, and that is after the Western Conference champion banner raised at Rogers Place last night, the Edmonton Oilers hosting their cross-province rivals, the first Battle of Alberta in the province for this year's NHL season, and a back-and-forth battle. The Oilers off to a 3-0 start, the Flames tying it back late, back and forth through OT, a few chances, Stu Skinner standing on his head, the Flames standout Dustin Wolf doing an incredible job. As mentioned, Leon Draisaitl, a huge goal for the Oilers, and a big shout out to 29, who's looking to have a big year. There's that ice cream cake again. A big shout out to Leon. I wonder how much of that cake he actually allowed himself to have mid-season. The Oilers doing everything they can to get pucks past Wolf, but boy, oh boy, is he starting his season strong as well. As you know, if you're paying attention to the headlines, to the scores, ultimately this one goes to the Flames, who will start their season off 1-0, putting the Oilers down 0-1 to kick it off as they continue their quest for a third straight Stanley Cup final appearance. But what a vibe in the barn last night. What a start to the season for both teams. Connor McDavid absolutely buzzing out there on the heels of that 2-year extension. If you were in the rink like I was, you know the response that everyone was expecting for Connor. Not everybody takes a $10 million haircut, and here's gratitude from 18,400 people, but that was the case last night. And depending on where your loyalty lies, you may be thrilled or not so much with last night's result, but isn't it great when the Battle of Alberta is actually a battle? Just love to see it. I mean, everybody loves a blowout, but for hockey fans that were looking to get their money's worth, last night was the night. Look at that Play Alberta logo there on those Oilers sweaters. Does that ever look good? Well, listen, Play Alberta's offering odds boosts. As a matter of fact, on every Oilers game all season long, and this is your chance to score big. And for a limited time only, Real Talkers can get an exclusive $50 free bet when they deposit $50 using the code Ryan50. That's Ryan50. When you make a $50 deposit on the Play Alberta app or at playalberta.ca, Ryan50 will deposit an extra $50 into your account. Alberta wins with Play Alberta. You've got to be 18 or older to play, and if you do gamble, please use your game sense. I suspect it's all Oilers fans, I think, right now around the Real Talk table. Although, look at this. Edify's Omar Mouallem already giving me eye contact, suggesting that may not be the case.
I'm like, yes, huge fan. Please don't ask any follow-ups.
Please don't. You don't want me to ask you like who's their second power play or their third defense pairing?
Well, I would prefer if you did.
Come closer to the mic. We want to hear absolutely everything. I think this is intentional. You're like, the further you sit away from the mic, the less hockey I will talk with you. Is that right?
I'm just slowly backing away, wheeling back.
That's totally fine. It's wonderful to see you again. I absolutely love the cover art of your newest issue. Who is your next mayor? People can check it online at edifyedmonton.com or pick it up at newsstands around the city. And how cool is it as well to have the institution herself joining us in studio. She's a co-founder of the wildly popular, very impressive Taproot Edmonton, Karen Unland. I believe, is this your Real Talk debut? I think that it is.
I think it is. I was on the radio with you.
Yeah, we've done radio back in the day, but it's so nice to see your face again. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
For people, and we want to talk a lot about this election, and we'll get into how you're covering it and why. People can check out edmonton.taproot.news, and we're going to have it in the show notes on the podcast on YouTube so people can link directly to it. Those who know definitely know what Taproot's all about, but for those that might not be familiar, take us into what you've been doing for the past number of years.
Sure. So we've been around since 2016.
Yeah.
But we've really ramped up our presence in the local media scene. The tagline that we use is we're the best source of reliable intelligence about the Edmonton region. And so we pay attention to what's going on in Edmonton and the metro region around it. We have kind of an emphasis on city hall and business, but we also pay attention to arts and food and things like things like that. And so just want to make sure that Edmonton and the Edmonton area is an informed and connected and inspired place.
We don't always hear people trying to marry intelligence and political commentary.
Well, I think we should change that.
Yeah.
I think we'd be better off if we did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things I think actually that all three of us have in common with how we tell stories and our business models and the like. But there are also some unique differences. What would you say with regards to your audience or your target audience even? What sets Taproot apart from other media outlets across the province and in Canada for that matter?
Well, what sets them apart from the rest of Canada is we only care about local. So we are utterly focused on the Edmonton region. I call our readers the smartest, most engaged people in Edmonton.
Yeah.
I think there's probably an overlap in the Venn diagram with Edify and Real Talk. But it's people who are intentional. They are not necessarily wanting to get their news from the scroll. They want to know what's going on, but they don't want it to be an upsetting experience to know what's going on. And so they turn to us for our daily newsletter, The Pulse, to just get a sense of what's going on from both our journalists and from the summaries that we publish from other people, and then get a little bit of delight and a little bit of knowledge of what events are happening in Edmonton as well.
You guys have been doing some really cool work on surveys. You're breaking down campaign disclosures. You're really giving people a ton of information so they can make an informed vote. And we'll dig into that in a little bit. There definitely is, I think, a Venn diagram. I think probably all three of us feel like we do have the most intelligent audiences in the country, or maybe on planet Earth, Omar. And that would include you as well. What does Edify have in common with Taproot? Number one, obviously, a huge commitment to local.
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot in common in that we tell city stories. In some ways, we're almost like that balance between civic stories and culture stories is almost inversed with Taproot, where we're known for our culture and our food stories, and our art stories, but we also do civic stories and city stories. And we're doing more of that as well in future issues, and in this issue especially. What I think, so our dedication to local stories, we all have that in common. What we all do it differently, though. I mean, your Taproot is an online daily publication. Your stories are going to read very differently than what comes in this magazine, which is what I like to call slow journalism. You know, our stories need to didn't have a coaster, and I didn't want to do anything to this beautiful table.
For everybody that's listening on the podcast, you had your coffee right on the cover of your magazine, and it was driving me nuts. I don't want to wreck it, so I picked it up.
I don't want to wreck your table.
You
don't want to wreck my magazine.
That. Our
this
beautiful
is mutual
urban
respect
timber
here.
table. Look at that. Yeah, as you were, though.
So we do slow journalism, which means that, you know, our stories need to be relevant for a longer period of time, and we work on them for 4, 5, sometimes 6 months. The cover story in this magazine, in which I interviewed the 6 mayoral frontrunners, I started that work in April or May, just kind of new to the job, in fact. But that gave us time to follow the election, follow who was in the lead, also to get each of those mayoral candidates to commit to a minimum of 1 hour interviews with me, IRL, but then also edit those interviews so that they're down to the substance, and then fact check them. And not just fact check for the accuracy of the transcripts to make sure that I have accurately portrayed both what was asked and what was answered, but also to fact check the claims within their answers as well. So it's a different execution, I guess, of local journalism, but it's all very different. Those who want to get the news right away and want to be like up to date, and then those who also want something that's maybe more in depth, rigorously edited, crafted, but also has the staying power that you could pick it up in your dentist's office or off of your coffee table 4 months down the line, and it's just as relevant.
Yeah, and always, with everything you do, beautifully photographed, beautifully laid out. Your team always does a marvelous job there. I'm taking a look through it, and I'm just struck by the difference. You've got the same podium, and again, our podcast listeners can check it out at edifyedmonton.com or pick it up wherever you see a paper copy of this magazine, this beautiful publication. But I was curious to know, did your art director instruct the candidates on how she wanted them to pose on the podium, or was this their own initiative? Because you've got Omar Mouallem in particular. The podium's knocked on its side. He's standing on top of it. It's very on brand for him.
The request was, what would you like to do with that podium? How do you want to, pose with it? And so it's subtle, but you do get a lot of the sense of their personalities in these photos, because you leave it to them to, you have Omar Mouallem, and that's him. If you've met him, that's him.
He was in here with us. That guy is a force.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like absolutely obsessed with this guy's campaign.
Yes. I mean, the confidence that he shows, that's it right there.
Yeah.
But then you have someone who's a little bit more buttoned up, like Tim Cartmel, who's just kind of leaning on the podium, kind of gesturing to the audience.
That's on brand for him.
Yeah, totally, right? So that's
You got Tony Caterina arms folded,
and yeah,
pissed off he's not been invited to Real Talk.
Just kind of leaning back
Yeah.
a bit. But that's one of the great things about print magazine, about physical media, and this kind of this blend, this harmony of text and design, is that you can also say a lot with photography, with illustration. And that's one of the special things about magazines, is that this story has always been more than just the text. It's always been also the design.
How did and I hope that you're willing to bring your trademark candid nature to this conversation with Karen and myself. But I'm curious to know how the fact checking worked out. Were any candidates trending more toward compliant when it comes to accuracy, and were any a little more trending toward willy-nilly and flexible with the truth? What did you determine through the process?
They were all pretty committed to the verisimilitude of their claims. I think where sometimes we would catch them is usually on funding, like the exact dollar amounts, or the amount of times, Caterina claimed the amount of times that Cartmel had voted yes to a budget, said that he had voted every single time, but it was almost every single time.
Okay, I see. But no one was blatantly I served in Iraq.
No one
and
said
then
they
it turned
served
out
in
that
Iraq,
they had never
no.
enrolled in the. There was
Yes.
nothing like that.
Yes.
Nothing egregious.
No.
Okay.
No.
How did you and your team at Taproot approach this election? I mean, you guys have been around for almost 10 years. I mean, this is incredible. By the way, in independent media, you guys were, still are, trailblazers in a lot of ways. But how did you approach, and what's your team approach look like that's maybe sets it apart from previous election coverage? What's different this time around?
Well, what we're doing in 2025 is like a better version of what we did in 2021. So what Taproot does is ground its election coverage in what is important to the people. What are the issues that people want to know where the candidates stand on as they head into the polling booth. And so we deliberately and religiously try to avoid that horse race journalism, who's winning kind of stuff. What we start with is just a question. What issues are important to you heading into this election? We've got almost 1,000 people to answer that question. We took that information as well as a bunch of other information that we gathered to craft this survey of 30 questions, 30 multiple choice questions that we then put to the candidates, and then ask the candidates to answer these questions as best you can. If you feel that we have not captured the nuance of your real answer, here's a box where you can put that. And then
30 questions, though, that's no joke, right?
It's quite a bit.
It's
It takes
not,
a long time.
it's not
Do they
like
have to answer every single one?
They can skip if they want, but we tell people if they skip.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's
And they
not a good
also-
look, is it?
Now, you're very,
Look at your
Mileage, you're very-
objectivity, Karen. You've always been. People know you have a long history in print journalism. You've been a widely respected journalist for a long time. I think it's so funny and marvelous that you bring that objectivity to this table. There's not always objectivity around this table.
Well, and I don't know if it is objectivity. It's fairness, right? I just want to. I don't want to impugn their motives. That's what I would say that I'm doing. So. And then our editorial team also puts a little bit of context with those questions, so that if not everybody who runs for office actually knows all the background on this stuff. It's complex. It's a little bit of a way to just make sure that they're making an informed choice when they're filling that out. So that is like primary research that we do. And then that turns into two things. One is fodder for our editorial team to do stories, and they've been doing lots of stories about where the candidates stand on police governance or the budget or property taxes or infill or what have you. And then we also have created the ability for voters to take the same Taproot survey so that they can see how they align or how the candidates align with them, and help them just very easily, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, know who who's aligned with them enough, they should vote for them. It's matchmaking.
It is matchmaking.
Tinder for the election.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Is Tinder still a thing? I think it is, right?
Why are you asking me?
Bumble?
How would I know?
Well, because you're a journalist. You're the man of the
I
people.
can confirm that Bumble is still a thing.
I think that Bumble's the big one, right? I don't know.
And Hinge.
I was attached before
Next
these things
episode,
were big.
bring me on.
But this has got to be. This would be feedback I think you might appreciate. Tony's in our live chat right now, powered by Park Power. She says, I took the Taproot survey and I was totally surprised at the results of who I aligned with.
Yeah.
Kind of an interesting development.
People often find that, and the thing they also find is that they rarely match with people on more than half of the questions because it's complicated, right? It's so what we encourage people to do is take a look, but then take a look deeper to see like which questions you agreed with people on, because not all 30 of those are a priority for everybody. They're not a priority. Like 30 is not a prioritization number. So there's going to be some issues that are your deal breakers. So that's what I would encourage people to go to as they're making their choice.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I would say is that there's a lot more information out there about the mayoral candidates than about the council candidates. And so it's even harder to figure out how to choose your council candidate. So the Taproot survey can be helpful there.
Look at this, though. I mean, to sort of shine a light on what your team is doing, edmonton.taproot.vote. Every single mayoral candidate in the city has taken your Taproot survey.
Yeah.
That's going to be. That's got to be good. You got no one sort of like ignoring it. You've got no one standing in defiance against it, consciously objecting to it. Did some take a little more work than others to get them to comply?
People sometimes, for one thing, anybody who's running for office is really busy. So sometimes
Sure.
it's just a matter of like getting their attention to do it. My co-founder, Mac Mail, did some cajoling to encourage people to fill it out, but we're also like incentivizing it. The way that we framed it, and I can frame it very vociferously because it's true, this is a really good way to find your voters. It's very hard. You can't door knock every door in Edmonton if you're running for mayor, and it's hard to get people's attention. So this is a way for people who didn't even know, haven't done like the deep paying attention to easily find you.
Ken K is wondering right now. Ken, thanks for your YouTube channel membership, by the way. He wonders if we'll put the Taproot survey link in the show notes. Absolutely will once we wrap the episode. Again, it's edmonton.taproot.vote. You can check it out. I'm looking at Omar Mouallem's response right now. It's interesting. Like you ask, which of the following comes closest to your view of the most important function of a counselor. He's gone with community representative, but like there's a lot of interesting choices here, and I bet people might be surprised. This is probably going to go a long way. I would imagine. I don't want to say more valuable. That's kind of a weird way to frame it, but I think it's particularly interesting to have a resource like this when you have an election where there are so many. I know you said you're not big on the horse race stuff, but the fact of the matter is, regardless of which poll results you're looking at right now, polling suggests that this race is wide open, and I think that makes something like this election Tinder, Jillian's calling it, stealing your line, in the live chat right now. But that makes it more valuable for somebody that recognizes. I mean, your vote always matters, but your vote really counts this time.
Yeah. There's, but I would say it always counts, and
of course,
and that's why we should take this privilege to choose our representatives seriously and go into the voting booth informed.
I want to talk to both of you about the why, about why you're doing this, and I want to talk to you about the future. You have an impassioned editorial in this episode that I want to get to as well, talking about the next 5 years of Edify. I had no idea that Edify and Real Talk almost...
We're kind of on the same trajectory. We're 1 month older than you?
You're 1 month older than us.
All right.
Yeah, which is great. And Karen's got us doubled up.
Happy early fifth birthday.
Early fifth birthday. We'll take it. Yeah, we'll celebrate that near the end of November. And you guys, is this your fifth birthday edition?
This is our fifth anniversary issue. Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right. Very cool stuff. Omar Mouallem and Karen Unland joining us in studio. More with them in just a bit, including your comments into our Real Talk live chat. Of course, as you know, powered by Park Power. But right now, I want to make sure this is on your radar. Edmonton's biggest genre film festival. This is Northwest Fear Fest, is pulling out all the stops this October with 5 spine-tingling days and nights of new and classic genre cinema that is haunting. Metro Cinema at the Garneau. It all starts Wednesday, October 15th with the Edmonton premiere of one of the most highly anticipated and critically acclaimed films of 2025. In Linus O'Brien's luminous documentary, Strange Journey, the story of Rocky Horror, you have a chance to discover how a tiny London theater play evolved into the groundbreaking cult phenomenon as told by Rocky's creator himself, Richard O'Brien. The legacy lives on through midnight screenings, including regularly sold-out screenings at Metro Cinema right here in Edmonton. If you know about the Rocky Horror Picture Show and a devoted following that spans generations. Northwest Fear Fest is running exclusively at Metro Cinema from October 15th to the 19th. This year's lineup also including Influencers, a wildly entertaining sequel to that 2022 sleeper hit, ups the ante. Influencers with even more bloody thrills, twists, and surprises. You can get your tickets to Northwest Fear Fest by checking out their website, northwestfearfest.ca, and keep an eye out on our Real Talk lineup for next week. Festival programmer Guy Lavallee is going to headline a Real Talk roundtable with filmmakers heading into this haunting, spooky, scary event. It's one that you're not going to want to miss. Hey, if you don't yet have plans for Thanksgiving, but you're just realizing as you're hearing me talk that, oh boy, you need plans for Thanksgiving because you're going to be entertaining folks, you need to check out cateringbyfriesen.com right now. Or you can go, of course, visit our friends at Friesen Brothers at one of their 16 Alberta locations. Their Thanksgiving dinner box is an absolute no-brainer if you want to save yourself the work and save a few bucks along the way. You can feed 4. In my estimation, by the way, we had one of these last week, an early delivery from our friends at Friesen Brothers. You could probably squeeze a couple more than 4 in there. But if you like leftovers, and who doesn't, feed 4 for $79 plus GST. Spend more time with family and friends. Let Friesen Brothers handle the Thanksgiving dinner, including perfectly roasted turkey, roasted baby potatoes, those creamy dill carrots that'll blow your mind, Mother Dough Bread Company tray buns, gravy, cranberry sauce, add-on pierogi casserole, sourdough cinnamon buns, Ukrainian sausage, whatever you like, maybe a pumpkin pie. Customize it at cateringbyfriesen.com. Our friends at the Helm Clothing have a big event going on right now, and if you're looking for a custom suit or luxury casual wear from October 9th through 11th, we're talking right now, that Damascena made-to-measure and trunk show is happening right now at their beautiful 3-story downtown location. Join them for this made-to-measure event. Enjoy light refreshments as you explore their fall 2025 ready-to-wear collection. You can also create custom tailored pieces for the discerning fashion lover. This is curated by the Helm's founder, Chad Helm, and his team. Damascena is crafted to accompany every stage of your style journey. We're talking about custom suits starting from $12.95, fully custom sport jackets starting from $8.95. Everybody's going to ask you where you got them, when you're wearing them, and you let them know you found them at the Helm Clothing. You can check them out online at thehelmclothing.com, but I suggest go visit them, their downtown location. It is a retail experience. We're so proud to partner with the Helm at thehelmclothing.com. And I want to give a shout out to those of you that are pursuing your post-secondary journeys right now against all odds. Didn't make sense for you. You got your hands full. You got a full-time job, maybe a part-time job. Maybe you're in that sandwich generation, looking after your parents, looking after your kids. Maybe you don't live anywhere near a brick-and-mortar university, but I don't have to tell you that it's all working out at athabascau.ca. It's Canada's open university. Athabasca University is. They've removed so many barriers to post-secondary learning with their world-class accredited online degrees and courses designed so you can complete your education wherever and whenever it works for you. You can learn more about the AU Advantage by checking out athabascau.ca. We're hanging out with Omar Mouallem, editor-in-chief at Edify and Karen Unland. I know you're co-founder, and I would say Big Cheese casually, alongside your co-founder Mac Mail at Taproot. What's your official? Are you CEO? COO?
I'm Chief Operating Officer on the business side of things and Editor-in-Chief on the journalism side of things.
You just thought you'd wear the two hats at the same
Hail
time?
to the Chiefs.
Yeah, always wearing different hat, different times.
When we say on the business side of things, it is a business. You have employees, you have a team, and I mean, these days, we don't take that for granted. And I don't have to tell you, with your years in journalism, that it's gut-wrenching to see. We saw another wave of layoffs on the broadcast side. I think it was about 10 days ago, including impacting some friends of us and friends of the show. Can I ask, without giving us your tax returns, how you're making it work, how the hustle works, how it happens, how Taproot's been able to do it for 9 coming up on 10 years?
Well, I think the short answer to how we've been able to do it is diversified revenue streams. So our opening gambit when we started was paid membership, but without a paywall. We really feel that for Taproot to do what it needs to do in the community, there can't be barriers to people being able to see what we do. But we've always had an opportunity for people to say, I really like what you're doing, and so I'll pay for membership.
Can I ask why no paywall?
I just think that if all the true information in the world has to be paid for, then we are creating a uneven playing field where people who without means just get untrue junk, and people with means get true information, and that's not something that I want to contribute to.
Yeah, I remember having a really interesting conversation with Janet Pruden, who I know both of you know, and just the idea around paywalls and her frustration with folks' frustration with the paywalls as journalists need to get paid. But I sure respect where you're coming from on that as well. I mean, but there is a business reality. You got to keep the lights on. You got to pay salaries, and I know nobody's getting rich, but you know this is everyone's livelihood, right?
Yeah, and so that was what we started with. We learned that could take us to a certain point, but was kind of necessary but not sufficient for our kind of business. So we also do advertising and sponsorship because we have we capture an audience with our newsletters, and so that's a good place for us to have some exclusive spots for people to be known. Park Power is one of our sponsors as well. They bring people to the region. They're
right?
Awesome. Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah. And then we also, because of the nature of the work that we do, which is curating a lot of information from around the web about what's going on in Edmonton, that same methodology and technology that makes it easy for us to do that. We use that for some client work that we do as well for briefings for organizations that want kind of more bespoke curation of information for them. So that's like an unusual kind of line of business for a business like ours, but it works for us. Yeah.
Omar, take us into the Reader's Trust. I love this. A fantastic feature. Again, I keep telling people, I mean, I know they can check it out at edifyedmonton.com, but I love picking up the paper copy. There's just something beautiful about holding it in your hands.
There is, but it is also something increasingly rare about holding a magazine in your hands. I mean, we all know that journalism has been incredibly challenged over the past 20 years, but especially over the past decade. And in Edmonton especially, we've seen, according to one study, a third of our media outlets close since 2008. And I could just rattle off a bunch of names, and that would just, but I won't. Magazines have been hit hard, especially hard, because of how expensive they are to produce.
Right.
The paper, the ink, and then also, as I was talking about before, the model of slow journalism and the amount of labor, how labor intensive that is. And if you know about the history of magazines, you know that they flourished. They started flourishing about 100 years ago because of the advertising revolution, and so they have always been primarily reliant on advertisers. But that has really changed. Advertisers they no longer value the opportunities. They no longer see as much of a value in traditional advertising. They often believe that they can advertise for themselves, and handle it themselves on their own social media.
Well, like they have
posts.
their own, Instagram and things like that.
Exactly, right? And so it's time that we also start moving into a more diversified revenue. Right. And so what we're doing is following in the footsteps of a lot of media outlets, including Taproot, which is basically seeking support from our readers. And in this issue, I have my editor's note is dedicated to this. It's very frank. I'm very direct about it.
It is.
Often advertising doesn't even cover the cost of production of this magazine.
Is that right?
This is true, right? And so how long can we continue like this? I don't know. We've made it 5 years. The next 5 years, I think that we're going to need reader support in order to do it. And so that's why we've launched something called the Reader's Trust. Now, the Reader's Trust isn't just about allowing us to do more food reviews or more event guide stuff. A lot of the stuff that we're known for and we do very well, especially on our digital platforms, but it's the in-depth journalism, the long-form narrative, and creative nonfiction that magazines do best, that we really want to lean into with this magazine, but it is costly. And so in order for us to do more of that, we've launched this Reader's Trust. And every dollar that is contributed to the trust goes toward this kind of journalism: investigative journalism, narrative journalism, journalism of high public interest. Yeah. And you'll see a lot of that in this issue. I think this issue is a template for what Edify can do with that support.
Yeah, and interesting, I think that you're seeing, I don't know if you want to call it a void, but yeah, it is. I mean, you're seeing a void. You're seeing space created, unfortunately, because you have other outlets they're dissolving, quite frankly, or at least being compromised, diluted. City
magazines, regional magazines, those have really disappeared. And they're so important, right? Because they are like cultural artifacts. Right? If you want to understand a city at a moment in time, pick up the physical magazine from that month, and you will get a sense of the pulse, the zeitgeist, the feeling that the populace of that city was captured.
I think what Taproot's been doing, the fact that there's no paywall and yet you still have people paying for subscriptions, and I'm not surprised by it. We have a Real Talk Patreon. An incredible group of individuals, many of them that have supported us from inception. We have these YouTube channel memberships that people subscribe to show their support. They don't have to. Real Talk's always been available without cost. That was a huge priority for us. We refused to put any sort of a barrier in place with regards to a subscriber model to access our shows. We wanted those to be available to everybody. But folks recognize and acknowledge that they can directly assist us in what we're trying to do. And we try to let them know, there's different ways that we'll use those funds. But in so many ways, as you're talking about funding good journalism, investigative journalism with your readers' trust, off the top of my head, Sarah Loriniak is an independent journalist that's checked in from Ukraine, and we were able to pay her a stipend to appear thanks to our Patreon supporters. Kyle Brattain does an incredible job on. He's like a weather analyst, right? This guy is like cerebral in his craft, and after the disaster in Jasper that impacted so many people, Kyle was able to come on and report to us, and we're able to support his work through that. Those are two off the top of my head. These studio lights that are making the both of you just look so incredible today. These are Real Talk Patreon and Real Talk YouTube channel members that made that possible for us. And we try to put it in tangible terms, like thanks to you. I'm looking at it. Thanks to you guys. I'll look in the camera and say it. And from the bottom of my heart, that's why we're able to do stuff that otherwise would not be possible for us. And I try to communicate that to the audience. To let you guys know, let me talk to the audience. This stuff is possible because of you. Your investigative journalism, what Karen's doing, and Mac and the team at Taproot is possible because people are supporting it.
I want to put it this way. Investing in local journalism means investing in your community. Think of it as like front yards in bloom, okay? You want to beautify your neighborhood. And so you take it upon yourself to buy the plants, buy the pots, to really invest in your garden because it makes you feel good to see your neighborhood look beautiful, and also it makes you feel good to see other people feel good about your neighborhood. That is a similar thing. It should make you feel good when you know that you have contributed to your neighbor being informed about the issues that matter in our city and in our lives.
I would add, though, that we're in a moment right now in media where almost everybody has their hand out, right? And I feel for the readers and listeners and viewers, because there's a limit to the number of Patreons you can be part of, and
of course,
and podcasts you can send money to, and independent media outlets that you can send money to. And so what we found with membership, maybe this will be instructive, Omar, what we found is that there is a group of people who will do that, who will support. I love what you're doing. Don't change anything. Just keep doing more of what you're doing, or if possible, keep doing the stuff that I love the most more. But there's another group of people who say, okay, but what do I get? And I don't begrudge that feeling, because I feel that as I see all of the hands out to me for all of the media that I consume. So what we've had to reckon with is, okay, so what's the answer to that? What do we get? Because we don't want to put a paywall up there. So so we have been building out, what does membership in Taproot mean beyond the warm, fuzzy feeling that you are making local news and information more available to yourself and everyone else. So, you know, we give away free tickets to our paying members. We have a members-only live stream called Taproot Exchange that happens every other Friday, where they can eavesdrop on a conversation between a member of our team and somebody, a mover and shaker in the city. And we'll be working towards personalization of the Taproot experience online as well, because we feel like you need to have an answer to, what do I get besides really good journalism.
Yeah, sure. I like, and we try to, not try to, we are, we'll put on events through the year. I remember we did a debate night VIP watch party, and the first 2 beers were on us. Everybody knows, if you know me even a little bit, that I was just going to cover the whole tab the whole time anyway. So it was more than 2 beers for some people, but that's what we want to do. And we're going to send our Patreon supporters to Northwest Fear Fest. And that email's going out this week, by the way, guys. And, that sort of a thing, because I want there to be more, like you said, there's got to be some, we get these cool Real Talk socks that we'll send you if you sign up to support us on Patreon, that sort of a thing, because you want there to be something, but it's also got to be something where, fiscally we're going to be sort of prudent with, we're going to be wise stewards with this. Yeah. This is something that means a lot, because you're right. I think that every time that somebody is intentional with an investment they're making by supporting a media outlet or supporting whomever, it's something I think that should be respected and rewarded, right? By the way, Neola is watching us in our live chat, says, Karen has such a dead-on perspective on information. She says, if true information is only paid for, the masses will never know the truth, which is a great comment. Jillian says, hang tight, everybody. She says, I'm doing my Taproot survey right now. So she'll report back. She's doing it right as we speak. Interesting comments on magazine advertising as well. Vamp Fashions, one of our regulars, says a magazine ad is almost always more effective than an online ad, but a good ad that sells will always trump a high volume of crap ads. Most ads just don't know how to sell. I would imagine I'm not asking you to name names unless you want to start something here, but you probably, the whole idea of businesses can advertise on their own, that is true.
Yeah.
But not everybody's great
No.
at running their business and running their marketing.
I understand why so many companies and organizations want to go in that direction. It's because they really want the metrics, right? They want the dashboard. They want to be able to quantify what they're getting in return. I mean, kind of similar to what you were saying, Karen, with how people want to, if they put in money, they want to know what they're getting in return. It is hard, almost impossible to quantify that with physical media, right? I mean, are you going to ask every single customer who comes into your store, how did you hear about us? No. But there is value with it, because for one, it's not competing with all these other advertisements. People aren't just like scrolling over your ads. So it gets through the noise. But also, when we publish stories that are in depth, that are thoughtful, with beautiful images, that make you linger, which is what a magazine is supposed to do, right? That also is an opportunity for the reader to spend a little bit more time with your message as well.
Do you? This is probably intentional language. Like for people that don't know, I should have said this. Omar is an award-winning writer and a feature writer. The words that you use are very intentional.
What do you mean?
Well, you use the word linger.
Yes.
You talk about slow journalism.
Yes.
Like these words that you're using, either as verbs or adjectives are.
This is the world.
But it says a lot.
Of literature that I come from.
But you know that, like, when I'm going to be honest, like when we're putting out, and I was able to sit on a panel at Edmonton Unlimited's Startup Week, the Edmonton Startup Week, the kickoff with your co-founder, with Mac Mail. Just a couple of days ago, and our friend Tara McCarthy, who's got the big new job at Edmonton AM, and Chris over at Digital Journal, who did a great job as well. But we were talking a lot about the different things. Real Talk is more of a I call it almost like a news magazine show in the sense that it's longer form.
Mm-hmm.
We had Stephen Mandel in here holding court for like 75 minutes the other day.
Did he ever?
It was unbelievable. More on the Mandel interview in a second, because I think you have maybe an observation on it. But not a lot of radio shows. I was never in terrestrial radio able to do an interview for 75 minutes. Not a chance. No matter how good it was going, or no matter how long. I can see in real metrics here if the audience is staying with us. And as Mandel was talking, the audience was growing. I was watching it grow. I'm not going to end that interview. Why would I? Right? But at the same time, in promoting that interview, what do I have to do? I have to find the best 3 seconds. And we lead off our short or our Instagram reel or our TikTok with those 3 seconds. In his case, it was just calling out, tears in his eyes, he says, as he sees Edmonton, and it just sort of like gives his assessment of what he determines to be the degradation of our downtown core and the like. But the point being, we're trying to hold people's attention for 3 seconds before they scroll past our thing, with the ultimate goal of maybe that 60-second highlight, which experts will tell you is too long. I know that. I'm aware, right? Trying to drive people to the full episode so we get the engagement on the 75-minute interview. Doesn't always work out that way, but you're trying to take kind of the long-form idea, but then you're presenting it in the shortest possible form, and it's sometimes a very challenging exercise. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did you think of the Mandel interview, by the way?
Oh, man. The guy's still got so much fire in him.
Doesn't he?
Yeah. It's I can see why a lot of people miss him, right? Because like he's just so he's unfiltered and he's passionate about the city. I'm not saying that like the current candidates are not, but that passion is just, it's so raw. Yeah. And I think people miss that.
I would say the only candidate with as much passion as him is Omar, Dr. Omar. Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
Muhammad's the only guy that's banging on tables and walking around with his chest out.
But the difference with Mandel then, that makes him different than any of these candidates, in my opinion, and I wrote about this actually in my last editor's note, is that he had such big ambitions for this city. I mean, he would call it world class, and sometimes it was cringe, but there was also something kind of empowering and inspiring about that. I believe that during those Mandel years, a lot of Edmontonians really started to believe in the potential of this city in a way that, in a way that gives us, that really shapes where we are now as a big city.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that interview, by the way? Did you happen to catch it at all? Did you hear it?
I confess that I did not, but
That's
it's so
okay.
interesting when these things happen because then there's like kind of an off-gassing of all of the digital artifacts of it and the opinions on it and everything.
Yeah, and we've heard the audience reaction on it. It's been fantastic. And I say this respectfully to Stephen, like I know he'd laugh if he heard me say this. I think he's on his way to vacation right now. I don't think he's listening. But the feedback, some people have said, like, what a shame he's not running again. Best mayor Edmonton's had, all the way through to, like, he's like my cranky old uncle and he's off his meds. You know what I mean? Like, the feedback has been across the board. For me, that's always the sign, I think, of a wonderful episode, right? I mean, there's people right now that are like connecting with this and people that aren't. That's, we're not trying to serve all people. Yeah. You're not trying to serve all people with your audience either. As a matter of fact, it almost feels like your audience is curated in a sense.
Well, I don't want to.
Not you're turning anyone away.
Yeah, we don't want to curate ourselves out of having a viable business. So we want more people to read Taproot. But I think it's it's an intentional person who reads Taproot, and I think it's an intentional person who spends time with you online or reads Edify. Yeah. It's so that's the kind of person that we want to reach and that we serve and that maybe that's not everybody. Are we allowed to swear on this?
We can say whatever the fuck we want.
Okay. I just think we're in this moment of what Cory Doctorow has coined this beautiful word, enshittification. And what that means is that first the social media platforms captured the audience by free connection, attention, unlimited access to whatever. Addictive engagement, that's right. Captured us, the people, sold our attention to everybody, to advertisers, and then worsened our experience because we were captured, because that's where our friends were. Now has worsened the experience of the advertisers as well, and taken the profits. And so now nobody is happy except for the platforms that are vacuuming up the money. Where I would say that we have a huge opportunity in local media, and all three of us are in this position, is to bypass that, undo it, and recreate the covenant between readers, advertisers, and media makers. The thing that I often try to say when I'm speaking to businesses about how to get media attention, because that's what a lot of people want to hear about, is that if you don't support media, there will be no media to earn, right? So like earned media is very powerful for people. We're getting some right now. We're using your platform to let people know about Taproot and Edify.
And in good faith, I assume that you will post about being here on Real Talk on Taproot and in Edify. It's how it works.
Yeah, or on our channels for sure. Yeah. So when advertisers like the ones that you've read, when like the ones that are in the pages of Edify, or the ones that we highlight in our newsletters, when they park their money with us, they're not only getting access to the smartest and the most engaged people in Edmonton, but they are making it possible for us to keep paying attention to the place where we live.
I would 100% without a doubt not be doing this show if I wasn't able to feed my family and keep the lights on.
Yeah.
This is not a volunteer, and I love what I do. I feel called to do this. Privileged for free. There's not a chance, right? I love this comment from Dubious, one of our regulars. Dubious, a wonderful friend of the show, says, no one has $5 for indie journalism, but will pay $19 for a burger and fries 6 times a week. But Dubious is saying that. Look, you see that little yellow star beside Dubious in the chat. Dubious is a YouTube channel subscriber of ours. Dubious putting their money where the mouth is. So I appreciate that. Hey, listen, in closing, I thank both of you for your time. We've kept you longer than we thought, but I just love conversations like this. I love when we linger, to borrow your word, to hang out. I envision, especially with this teacher strike going on, maybe some more people are at home than normal. We've seen some live tuning numbers up for us, including on the Mixler audio app yesterday, 5 times average. Wild, right? To hear the Education Minister. But I imagine that maybe people are sharing their coffees with us today, or they're going to listen or watch later in the day when they have an hour to walk the dog or on their commute. That's how I like to envision people enjoying the show. I wanted to ask the two of you, the context of you being here, I guess, is it's not intentionally to be like an independent journalism roundtable. We're talking about the election. We're talking about how you're covering it. What's one thing that's either struck you as significant through this election, province-wide, in particular, though, of course, your lens, Taproot Edmonton, a storyline that's jumped out at you, something that's made an impression on you, something you're keeping an eye on leading up to the big day on October 20th?
That's a really hard question for me in particular. I think that the volume of people that have put their names forward to try to make a difference is interesting. And I think that the thing that I was reflecting on heading in here is how so much of getting stuff done in the municipal arena comes down to how well do you run a meeting and how well do you work with colleagues, which is like similar to my job, similar to a lot of people's jobs. And so I'm struck by some of the rhetoric that does suggests that that's not how they see the job, but I think that's what the job is, and that's what I would be looking for, in addition to who agrees with me on the issues that I care about.
I see. Jillian, I know I'm getting super specific in our chat, but I was curious to see her report. She was completing the Taproot survey as we're talking. She says, Taproot Tinder. That's the hashtag. Taproot Tinder. She says, matched me with Raheem Jaffer. She says, well, that's interesting. She says, thankfully, she says, I matched well with my current counselor, Karen Tang. She says, I'm going to be voting for her again. Jillian's going to be making the informed vote. There you go.
Well, I don't know how Jillian feels about the idea of an Olympic village for unhoused people in Edmonton, where they would all sort of live in one contained area with armed security.
Is this the Jaffer proposal?
That's the Jaffer proposal, at least in my interview. So, if maybe those are your values, I don't know.
Well, Jillian, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't hear that one. Jaffer called me.
I don't know if he's still putting forward that idea after I push back against it, suggesting to him that this sounded a lot like a ghetto, which you'll see in my interview in this issue.
Did he mind the pushback?
No. I mean, he's
a veteran federal politician,
absolutely,
right? Yeah.
But I haven't heard him say it since.
Huh. Interesting. Are you taking credit for that? You got a gleam in your eye.
You didn't just see me wink at you.
No, yeah, exactly. I want to ask you the same question in closing before we talk about your top 40 under 40 event. This is an absolutely iconic event, just an incredible event that Edify has been doing for many, many years, coming up on November 19th. I'm not just saying it because you have a glamour shot of me on the ad for it. But you do know your way to my heart. But Omar, same question.
Right through his head.
right through his big head. Right through that big ego. Straight to the heart. One thing that struck you as you talked to these 6 mayoral candidates in long form and putting these features together, something that struck you, maybe aside from Jaffer's Olympic Village idea, something that maybe a storyline that you continue to follow, something that's got your intrigue.
Well, I'm very intrigued by Cartmel's trajectory here, because he started high and then he had a big dip, but it looks like the support is back behind him, and all the other candidates are coming out on the attack right now, and they're especially talking about his finances, or rather the contributions to his campaign, where they're coming from, whether or not they have any affiliation with other funders of the UCP government, developers, infill. I think, as far as defending his campaign right now, he's really got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating one. As a matter of fact, Karen, as you know, obviously your team has reported on this as well. Mac did himself. Mac Mail, disclosure showing that Cartmel pulled in $834,000, about half of all campaign contributions. That's a lot of dough for a municipal campaign. But Karen Leibovici will tell you, and she's going to be joining us on October 21st here in studio. Just because you raise or even spend a ton of money doesn't guarantee a win, right? Yep. That's a reality there. Are you expecting any mayoral candidates to drop out? A lot of people are talking about how, you've got the progressive, you've got the Andrew Knack choice, and then you got a bunch of conservatives on the other side, or at least perceived conservatives. I want to be fair to the candidates.
I think in those top 5-6 front runners, I don't think so.
No way.
I think their egos are too big.
Yeah.
I really
Even
do.
if they wanted to, they're on the ballot now. It's
Yeah.
too late.
Yeah,
Advance
yeah,
polls
fair
are
enough.
open, so
Yeah, fair enough. Advanced polling, what a day left, I think, right? Isn't it 2 days?
Saturday at 8 is
Saturday
when
at
the
8.
advance polls close, and then the polls are on October 20th.
And it's going to be a bit of a different result. Mandel's telling me the other day he doesn't think, we got a big show planned for the morning after for the 21st. He says he doesn't think we'll have results in.
Might not.
What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Well, we've been in talks with the city to try to understand how the results are coming in. We're in 2021, we had a live dashboard that people could watch, the numbers come in, and we knew that night who was the mayor and who were the councillors. Mm-hmm. With hand counting, it's not clear. The one thing we know for sure is we will know absolutely by Friday of that week.
Friday?
I know.
Come on.
I hope that we will have an idea the night of the 20th, but it might not be.
All right. I don't know what we'll talk about on the 21st. I guess we'll just break out the Baileys and coffee and shoot the shit.
All right.
That's what we'll do. Coming up on the 19th of November, it's a Wednesday in one of the most stunning venues in the province, Edmonton's beautiful Winspear Centre. Edify will highlight the 2025 class, the top 40, under 40, the biggest and best celebration of the year. This is an annual institution. Tickets are available right now via the website, edifyedmonton.com. Why do people need to be there at the Winspear joining us?
Oh my God, because like top 40 under 40 is a benchmark of the talent in this city. It's been really interesting because I was there on the very, very first one in 2009. Were you in that one?
I was in that class.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I am no longer under 40.
So I remember editing those and just feeling like, oh man, I had no idea that there were so many talent, like hyperachievers in this city all around us. And now 17 years later, we're coming up on another generation of them, all these millennials who are shaping our city and doing it in these very interesting ways in arts and business and medicine. And it really is a portrait, like a yearbook of who is going to shape the city over the next generation as well. And it is a monster issue. 100 pages, and even as I sit here, as much as I'm enjoying this, I'm thinking, I gotta get back to the office to get this monster to press.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I gotta get both of you the hell out of here because I gotta celebrate some of our advertisers, the ones that are making this show possible. I am such big fans of both of you and the work you've been doing. Karen, the work that you've been doing at Taproot really is incredible, and you deserve the credit for it, you and your team. People can check out edmonton.taproot.news. We'll have it in the show notes for those of you that want to link to it directly. And, of course, you can read Edify Edmonton at edifyedmonton.com, and, of course, pick it up wherever you find it. Both of you, always great hanging out. I just so admire your passion for what you do and the prowess you demonstrate while doing it. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Thanks.
You
for
got
having
it.
me.
That's Karen Unland from Taproot, and, of course, Omar Mouallem, editor-in-chief at edifyedmonton.com. This conversation has happened with the amazing support of our friends at California Closets. This is a proudly Canadian-owned and operated business. As a matter of fact, right here in Alberta is where they manufacture everything that they install. And we're talking custom closets and storage solutions for the entire home. I know that some of you are thinking, when you think of California Closets, you think of those beautiful walk-ins, right? I've talked to you about my wife Carrie's dream walk-in that they pulled together for us on our budget, by the way, which was modest. We didn't have $1 million to spend, but it's got a small chandelier in there. Carrie goes in there and just hangs out while she's choosing what she wants to wear. It's her zen space in our home. For some of you, though, it might be the entryway or the mudroom, or maybe you could use one of those awesome Murphy beds that can turn your home office in 5 seconds into a guest room. Whatever it is that you're dreaming up, California Closets will custom design it to fit your space and your budget. You can learn more about the different budget levels. There's 4 different ones, from practical simplicity all the way through to luxury refined. They can work with any budget, but everything that they install is guaranteed for life. You can request your free consultation today at californiaclosets.ca. UCAN Youth Services. You want to talk about movers and shakers? You want to talk about an incredible group making an impact in our home province, and in particular in the Metro Edmonton region? Look no further than UCAN. They are transforming lives. You may roll your eyes and say everybody says they're transforming lives. I'm talking about young people, in some cases 12 years old, that are spending more time in the back of cop cars than they are in class. Some of them unhoused, some of them experiencing food insecurity, some of them survivors of human trafficking. I'm not talking about the most serious stuff. UCAN Youth Services is opening doors, creating opportunities, building these relationships to transform the future and the now for these young kids. I'm talking about their Relentless Outreach program. You can learn more about it and show your support. Consider a donation when you visit ucan.ca. Solar by Kuby, Western Canada's busiest solar installer. I mean, if you look at the numbers, this is unbelievable. The team at Kuby has completed more than 5,700 solar installations across Western Canada, earning the trust of homeowners plus businesses who are looking for a reliable partner in their renewable energy journey. Clients love the stress-free process that Kubi provides. We hear from you guys when you send us emails. Either you've got your free quote from them or the install is complete. Every question, they're answering it. Every step, they're guiding you through it. The whole experience is easy to understand because they've made that a priority. And the balance of their technical expertise and their customer care is a huge part of not only why so many people recommend Kubi, but why I'm so proud to partner with them here on Real Talk. You can get that free solar quote today by visiting kubi.ca. That's KUBY.ca. You know, a lot of you this election are going to be prioritizing the dollars and cents, the finances. You know, that's maybe the lens you're looking through because you're a business owner, you're an established professional. If you're asking yourself those big financial questions, like, you know, as a business owner, should you pay yourself in dividends or salary, or should you put savings into a TFSA or an RRSP, or maybe just leave it inside your corporation, you know, for your retirement? There's another option that your current investment advisor may not have brought to your attention. It's called the IPP. This is one, the individual pension plan. It's not going to make sense for everybody, but it's a powerful retirement strategy that if your business is earning more than $200,000 a year, if you're over the age of 40, it's something you should consider. The team at North Road Investment Council has put together a plain language white paper. Nothing but clarity on this one. So you can determine if it's a right fit for you. You can request your copy today by reaching out to the team at North Road Investment Council on their website. That's northroadic.com. And at Pathways Alliance, you know, you want to talk about Alberta's future. You want to talk about Canada's future. Canada's going to be hosting this big energy and environment summit. This is coming up near the end of the month. We're putting a roundtable together on it. A big part of that conversation will center around what's happening in Alberta's oil sands, in Canada's oil sands. Pathways Alliance is 6 of Canada's largest oil sands company working together to help grow Canada's economy. You can learn more about the initiative by visiting the website. This oil and gas sector, for perspective, supporting almost 500,000 jobs across Canada. Pathways Alliance is online today at pathwaysalliance.ca. The technical director of this program, of this show, Johnny Infamous, hanging out in studio, flying the plane.
Good morning, Ryan.
While we all linger here around the table. I love that conversation with Omar and Karen. I love how they operate.
Yeah.
We haven't talked enough, aside from Alberta Wins, on the big night last night at Rogers Place, and the huge night for the Toronto Blue Jays as they dispatched the New York Yankees and will move on in their quest for a third World Series. How you feeling about your hometown Jays?
In general, fall is now I used to be a summer boy. You know, I used to get out there. I used to be like, let's party, let's go to festivals, let's get a tan. Man, I'm starting to get why, especially the women I know in my life, love fall so much. It gets darker. You have an excuse not to go out later.
It's
you go
PSL
to bed early,
season, buddy.
You get the cardigan on. You know, you get the heat in the car in the morning. You get the air conditioning on the way home if you're in Edmonton and Calgary here in Alberta. But most of all, man, sports. Right now, you got football, you got baseball, you got basketball, you got hockey, you got everything, right? But the contrast in those two games, I mean, the Jays just. Come on. You had Yankee fans. I watch like a couple of Yankee blogs because, look, I follow the Yankees a bit. They're one of the most epic teams in sports ever, right?
Ever.
Aaron Judge, amazing. So, you know.
That guy is a beast.
And when playoffs come around, you know, the podcasts or guys I follow who talk about Yankees, you know, it beefs up. And man, after that win, the 2-1 win for the Yankees, they were like, Jays are done. They choked. The bats came out. The bullpen failed on theirs. And they were just. And then last night you just saw how, like, you know, how a loss can cause you to be like, okay, we got a little ahead of ourselves. We thought, you know, the ego gets big. This is why teams don't go in, especially in hockey, they don't go on 40-game win streaks because eventually you kind of lose a bit of faith in yourself. But, man, the Jays showed resolve. They showed that they can buckle down. They didn't have to be show-stopping. There's no grand slams. There's no stealing bases. They just did the work, got the runs in, and shut it down with strikeouts. And what a team. You know, 2016, man, Man, I'm an old school Jays fan. Growing up in Ontario, Mookie Wilson, Jesse Barfield.
Yeah.
I hate to say his name, Roberto Alomar, because now he's canceled. But it's bringing back all those feelings again. And 9 years is a long time to not even make it past the first round and to look this good, Ryan. Ooh, but in contrast, let me go to the Oilers. Love the Oilers, my favorite team in the NHL. I'll stress because you just heard me say I grew up in Ontario, but. What an Oilers game, man.
The Oilers went
they
full
come out
Oiler.
strong.
They went
They're
full Oiler.
sticking to a game plan. Draisaitl scores. Crowd's going insane.
Yeah.
Let in a soft one. Cue the comeback. Lose in a goddamn shootout. Like, it's just that's the Oilers story.
I know. I'm
sorry to say it. I know it's game one, whatever, the regular season, but it's just an old story for them like that. But hey, game one, we're looking great. I love the new additions there. I thought I don't want to pronounce his name wrong.
Tomasek.
He is great
Tomasek
in front of the net.
He was out there. They had him
Yeah.
shooting in the top 3 in the shootout, which I was kind of like. I mean, that's a way to kind of endear yourself to the fans. Would he been able to bury it? Had a couple nice chances. I see Ben Zhao is joining us in our live chat. Signs it. Just wants to start it right out of the gates. He says, "Good morning, everybody." He goes, "Who won? The Oilers or the Flames?" Ben, we know you know. And I love this.
Hey, Alberta wins no matter what.
Alberta wins no matter what. Nice one. Play Alberta.ca. Ryan 50 for a 50. But Vamp Fashion says, Ben, I'm not sure who won, but Stu Skinner lost. That was last night. Stu did all right. I would say this: like once a shootout start, when you have the 2 best players in the world, or at least say 2 of the top 5. Shout out Cale Makar. Shout out McKinnon and probably Kucherov. Maybe Hellebuck. We're starting to get in the B list now. But when you got McDavid and Draisaitl, Leon with 400 goals, McDavid with just the whole city licking his boots right now, and for good reason, as he's made it possible for the Oilers to have this window.
Yeah.
You imagine taking only $1 million a month and everybody thinks you're a hero? That is my. But if a shootout starts getting, what was it, 7, 8, 9, whatever it was, 9 shoot or something like that.
I hate when it does that because you never have any bounce. You kind of, somebody gets screwed. Like we did.
Yeah.
You don't get to answer back. If you miss the last one, boom, you're out.
I thought it was interesting the Oilers elected to shoot first in the shootout.
I thought that was weird too.
I would always rather. I mean, it's like the home team in baseball. You're in the bottom of the inning. I would way rather go last.
I don't want to go in blind on a shootout. I want to know if I have to score or not, right?
Absolutely.
Like, do I want to be fancy here? We're having fun. It's game one. We already got a point.
Yeah.
But the Skinner stuff, man, you can look at numbers and say this and that, but when you get a guy who has taken you to the playoffs, to the finals, to a game or 2 away last year and a goal or 2 away the previous season to winning a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And you can say this and that about, he should have saved 1 or 2 more goals 2 years ago. Well, maybe the Oilers should have scored 1 or 2 more goals. I mean, you have a guy that works well. And this is the other thing. We've seen this with Florida now, where, yes, they have an amazing goalie, and now their team is stacked. But the best thing about Florida, I don't want to say best because I'm from Florida, but I hate the Panthers, is from top to bottom. Management with Luongo and their GM and everybody from their players, they are gelled together. They hang out together. They love each other. They're a team. They're connected. They give a shit about each other's personal lives, even with the new additions. And the Oilers have that too now. So to take out Skinner and put in, look, I think we need a second. We need a second that is a lock solid as well, who maybe can take over the way we saw last season with I just forget his name.
Who, Pickard?
Pickard. Yeah, someone who can stand up. But in a game like hockey, where I believe, yes, you can crunch numbers and say all these things, but in the end, it's about teams gelling together. And on any night of the week, somebody can beat Florida in the regular season. On any night of the week, last place can beat first place. That's why I love hockey. Like, it's anyone's game, any one night, as long as you come in rested and you're focused and you drink your Gatorade and do your sniffers on the bench or whatever they are. Not cocaine, I'm talking about.
I was wondering. I was like, what are you implying?
The smelling
it's not
salts.
the 80s, bro.
But, one night you have a stomach ache, your best player has a stomach ache, it could ruin the whole game, right? Like, it's just, hockey is so touch and go that, I'm sick of the Skinner stuff. I think we can win a Stanley Cup with him. There's just other pieces that didn't really fit. And last night I saw that with a few of these new additions. And it was just great to see.
Yeah,
but we'll see. And on the McDavid thing, what a guy. Jesus Christ walking on earth right now, giving to the hungry, giving to the poor,
Giving to the poor.
giving to Wallen
Wallman.
Wallman.
Yeah.
I'll just say this.
Ekholm re-upping with the team.
No matter how you feel about this, yeah, he's getting shafted. He's the best player in the world. But we talked about this. Advertising dollars, all the other stuff.
He's doing fine.
I think it was funny how he made a joke saying his dog can eat. It's fine. It's a good amount of money.
Is that what he said?
There'll be food for his dog.
Leonard's doing just fine.
Leonard's belly will be full. I was like, I laughed so hard. But here's the thing. We already felt, did you see when they signed him? And then 2 minutes later, the $7 million he's turned down went into a 7-year contract with another player.
Yeah.
With
Wallman.
With Wallman.
And then Ekholm re-ups.
We're going to feel that money again at the trade deadline because there'll be a little bit of room there.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to feel it next year when the cap goes up. You're going to feel it again when the cap goes up the year after that. So he's a guy who's putting all his chips in the middle of the table. And more than that, he's throwing it through to the dealer. He's throwing to the guys at the table around him. He's saying, hey,
100%.
Take some chips. You take some chips. We'll all have fun tonight.
Connor Ingram, another interesting addition to the Oilers goaltending roster. So we'll see. I don't know if you saw Speck, what he wrote today. Look at this at sportsnet.ca. Mark Spector doing what he does best.
God damn.
Look at the headline. Skinner fails first chance to show Oilers he can be trusted. Speck is in fine form after night one.
You can't say that Speck isn't following like the modern way of getting people to look at his stuff. But, a great guy. We've had him in the studio.
Oh, Speck's great. I love Speck, but a lot of people, whatever he calls it how he sees it. It's tough to be a columnist. It's tough. His job is to push buttons, right? By the way, I owe Ben an apology. I got to go on the record here. Ben Zhao, who signed in and said, "Sorry, who won the game last night?" He follows up. He goes, "No, actually, I didn't know. I was just asking."
Okay, sorry,
I thought it was just a masterful troll job, Ben. I was actually complimenting you. It was funny for me. We're lucky enough. You guys know we're proud to partner with Play Alberta, and this is going to be a fun year for that. Always play responsibly, goes without saying. But I was able to be hanging out with them last night, and they had representatives in. They do business. They're on the sweaters, like you see their logo on the Oilers sweater. They're easily the Oilers. I mean, maybe aside from Rogers plays, but they're on the sweaters. They're on the ice. They're on the boards.
Yeah.
And they were hosting last night. Reps, obviously the Oilers organization for the most part was working last night, but they were popping in saying hello. But they had a lot of people up from the Calgary Flames organization as well. And Play Alberta has just signed their 2 player ambassadors from the team. Leon Draisaitl will be their ambassador with the Oilers, and Dustin Wolf, the goalie for the Flames, is their guy. And so being in the room last night with these 2 different fan bases and everybody with their own vested interests was really something to see. Like I said, in Alberta Wins today. Oh, yeah, by the way, there it is, Ryan50 on the Play Alberta app and at playalberta.ca for a free $50 deposit. A free extra 50 when you make a $50 deposit.
Double
down. Double your money. But I mean, geez, it was just like I said. I mean, I'm not going to lose sleep. Tony goes, you guys, it's like night one. Everybody just chill out, which I agree. I mean, if they start the season 1-11, then we'll complain about it. But I love when the Battle of Alberta comes down to something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point.
I mean, I would have liked to see that last push in overtime. I thought it was going in literally in the last 6 seconds.
Come on,
I was like, oh, here's the tic-tac-toe. It's going in. But yeah, start of the season. Let's calm down.
Absolutely, 100%. I wanted to make sure as well that we mentioned a couple of things, and we have some business to take care of with our friends at Tourism Jasper. We did have that, guys, circumstances outside our control yesterday absolutely drive me nuts. If you can imagine, we've Johnny. I don't want to pump your tires here for a second. Don't interrupt me.
Wow.
You always. This is what this guy does. He hates praise and he hates recognition. He doesn't like when people look at him. He won't even face his camera right now. He's turning to face the wall. Johnny does an unbelievable job. We're dialed in. We have the fastest internet that human beings can possibly find. We have these rocket ship Ferrari computers that are running our streams and everything, and every once in a while a platform that pushes our show out to all the social media platforms. Some of you are watching us on LinkedIn right now. Some of you, we see you watching us on Facebook. We appreciate that. When that fails, our show goes down, and there's nothing we can do about that. Doesn't happen very often.
Not at all.
But it happened yesterday. Thank God it happened after the interview with the education. Can you imagine 1 minute in, boom?
And Restream, we'll just say it, we've already said it. They're the platform we use because it allows us to push out to 7 things at the same time.
Yeah, TikTok.
And it's very foolproof. And, you go on and check what happened to their servers yesterday, and we noticed at the start of the show, the Park Power chat wasn't working, right? And we're like, what's going on? And so something involving how chat integrates with Restream just knocked everything down. And the news feed on their site said, hey, it was fixed in 4 minutes, which is fine. But for us, in that 4 minutes,
it was a big 4 minutes.
We were trying to get back online and back online and back online. But as Ryan said, audio always available. We've got multiple backups. We have the video as well, but we thought, hey, that interview is just such a banger. We're going to leave it as itself on YouTube. But we've always got backups. But as you were going to go into, I was just going to say, the reason it bothers you so much is because you're a TV guy, and the TV guys rely on satellite and all these other things.
100%.
Screw the internet. We'll go right to cable or whatever, right? So, and there's a team of people who are, if one guy like me is running the show, there's 3 behind him trying to fix a problem.
Yeah.
So it is really, we know Real Talkers as well. It bothers you, but like, this is the internet. Once a year, it's going to stop working for a minute.
Nervous. I'm getting nervous now that we're talking about it. That's going to happen again. I have PTSD from yesterday. But yeah, we just wanted to mention it, to let you know what went on. We did have some of you asking if there was some sort of a conspiracy, if something was going on, if we were being canceled, if someone was messing with our tech. It wasn't, and it had nothing to do with Johnny. But anyway, we appreciate you. I did want to say, just for future, again, like Johnny said, our podcast is out in its entirety. And so if you didn't have a chance to check out, you wanted to hear, we read a bunch of emails and all that kind of stuff. And also those of you that want to make sure that you're still part of the live stream, you can always migrate over to the Mixlr audio app. We saw a huge uptick in traffic over on Mixlr.
And let me say, just big props to Ryan for starting the show, but for us in general and our whole team, Katie, everybody, like, how many shows do you know podcasts that live stream every day of the week at the same time?
Not a lot.
I mean, people are like, well, this podcast now. I'm like, yeah, they pre-record the day before. They compress all their audio. They make everything perfect. We roll in every day, and we hope for the best.
Yeah,
so the
we're
internet
live.
Sometimes says no bueno.
Yeah, and Bustion says Jespo forgot to pay his Shaw bill.
What?
I don't even think we are Shaw. What are we? We are Shaw? Yeah, we are Shaw. Why are you looking like you're all nervous?
Well, I didn't know if we were going to give him it's.
Well, no, I'm going to send him a bill now for that.
Yeah, but we just re-upped with
shout-out.
Shaw. Yeah, and it is the fastest we can get in this area.
Yeah.
There's constant construction downtown. They're upgrading. Actually, the internet's going to get better, I think, in the next season, which I mean next September, they're telling me. But it is, we couldn't pay more if we wanted to for the internet. It's as fast as it can be.
Yeah, which is why it drives me crazy when it doesn't. But again, it wasn't anyway, who cares? We spent too much time talking about it, but Real Talk is we just wanted you to know what was going on and why that happened, and kind of get you into the loop. If you didn't check out, this was Tuesday of this week. That would have been the 7th of October, our new feature that we're really proud to roll out. This is Echoes of the Alex. This was a really fascinating story. We've actually pushed it out as a highlight, and we're going to be doing this every Tuesday over the next number of months as the Royal Alexandra Hospital Foundation and the incredible team there at the Royal Alex celebrate the 125th anniversary of the Royal Alex. We told this amazing story that was shared with us. Joyce Helton, a nurse at the Alex, and ultimately, like as you'll hear in the feature, and you can check it out either in the full episode on the 7th of October, or you can just go check out the highlight on our YouTube channel. It's a lifelong story and a lifelong connection to the Royal Alexandra Hospital for Joyce and her family. We'll continue to celebrate that over the next number of months, but I wanted to make sure that the Royal Alexandra Hospital and its foundation is on your radar, Real Talkers. This is a huge anniversary for them, 125 years since its humble beginnings in 1900. 1900, you guys. The Royal Alexandra Hospital has been a major provider of care for our community, starting with just a handful of patient beds within a single building. It was humble beginnings. The hospital now, for perspective, has over 900 beds and serves, Johnny, try to wrap your mind around this, 500,000 people every single year. It's one of the busiest hospitals in Canada, from a geographic landmass that covers a third of the country. You know, people in BC, Yukon, Northwest Territories, Saskatchewan, shout out Manitoba, are at the Royal Alexandra Hospital for life-saving care in many circumstances. And we're asking you, in support and honor of the hospital's 125th year anniversary, to support its most pressing needs for the patients of today, tomorrow, and many years into the future. We're proud to support the Royal Alexandra Hospital Foundation, and you can do the same by visiting givetothealex.org. We'll also link to that in the show notes. That's the Royal Alexandra Hospital celebrating 125 years of care. You know, a lot of election talk on the show for obvious reasons, and if you're living in the Metro Edmonton region, the team, the 7,000 public sector workers, frontline and professional workers across Edmonton and other parts of Alberta that represent CSU 52, that's Civic Service Union 52, want to make sure that these priorities are on your radar as you're deciding who you're going to vote for every single. I mean, who do you want to be your representative at council? Who do you want to be making budget decisions? Who do you want to be making the tough calls, those priorities, right? CSU 52 workers love their jobs. They love the city, and they're prioritizing a safe, smart, welcoming, and fair city. You can learn more about their Edmonton for Everyone campaign at edmontonforeveryone.ca. And a shout out to CSU 52, by the way. I've never done something like this before. They trusted Real Talk to roll out their live streamed town hall. How cool is this? They're all about transparency, and there were Real Talkers. I think we're almost 1,000 people have watched it already, Johnny, which blows my mind. A union town hall, but Real Talkers connected with it because CSU 52 wants to connect with Edmontonians. You can find that CSU 52 town hall on our YouTube channel under the highlights, and you can visit their campaign at edmontonforeveryone.ca. We also want to, of course, recognize that we did have a bit of an issue yesterday with My Jasper Memories. Typically, it's coming to you on a Wednesday. That's when we do this. But, Johnny, we wanted to make sure that the message gets out for My Jasper Memories. And so I'm just going to repeat this before we wrap this episode because I want this on Albertans' radar. I mean, those of you outside Alberta as well that are considering. We don't have to do the full thing, Johnny, but I just want to make sure this, typically we're going to give you the great music and all that kind of stuff. But Tourism Jasper, this is an important note for you guys. For a limited time right now, you can stay in Jasper and get rewarded. So if you visit jasper.travel/hotel-offer, just go to our show notes. It's going to be in there. That's easier. Jasper.travel is kind of home base for Tourism Jasper. This new hotel offer is really, really incredible. For a limited time, stays between October 17th, so coming up, basically next weekend, right? And December 12th are eligible to receive a digital prepaid MasterCard up to $175 with bookings through Tourism Jasper's website. Again, we'll link to it in the show notes, jasper.travel/hotel-offer. October 17th, so that's next Friday, through to December 12th. Your stays, longer stays mean bigger rewards, so you're going to receive a set amount for your first night, which varies by hotel. You can find the details on the website. And then 50% of that amount as well for each additional night, up to 3 nights total. How great is that? And so that means that they are actually, you're going to benefit not just by being in Jasper, not just by taking in the incredible colors this time of year, which is just absolutely remarkable. It's my favorite time of fall. There's nothing like fall in Jasper. But this Jasper hotel offer, I know, is making it even more accessible for a lot of visitors. Maybe some of you that haven't been out there for a while. Go see those larch trees right now. Johnny, they're absolutely exploding. They have this vibrant yellow. They've got this vibrant yellow. And I know, you don't have to necessarily be like a hardcore hiker. Jasper's got a bunch of these day hikes. You can... Dude, you can do it in Birkenstocks. Some of these, just go walk around Lac Beauvert. Or go, hike up to the, what I love to do? Hike up to the Whistler's Peak and then take the SkyTram down. Do something like that, the Jasper SkyTram. The explosive color, you got to see it. Obviously, I'm very passionate about it. This is my second. If I could, why don't we just move our operation out to Jasper? Why don't we just move ourselves out to Jasper? A free MasterCard gift card with booking. That's a limited time offer, though, the Jasper Hotel offer presented by our friends at Tourism Jasper. Don't forget, you can catch My Jasper Memories every Wednesday right here on Real Talk. Again, proudly presented by our friends at Tourism Jasper. And you've seen the water on our tables. If you're watching us on YouTube or any of the social media platforms, you see that we are offering our guests, including Omar and Karen today, and me right here, glasses of the Sask. I love this campaign. Mandel loved it when he was in here, too. He goes, I love it. A glass of the Sask. Mm-hmm. Guys, this is the people's show. This is Real Talk, Real Life. And we serve our guests tap water because Edmonton has the best tap water in the country. This is actually determined by taste test. This is a real thing. I'm not inventing this for advertising purposes. Edmonton's tap water has been determined and awarded to be Canada's best tasting tap water. It's a glass of the Sask. We proudly serve it to our guests here at Real Talk. You can learn more about the Glass of the Sask campaign and learn more about why Edmonton's tap water is so darn good by checking out Epcor online. You can check them out at epcor.ca.
It's not just for the dog bowl anymore. It's for every man, woman, and child in the entire city of Edmonton. It's
Although
a
I did hear,
glass of the Sask.
I did hear you're not apparently supposed to drink from garden hoses anymore.
Why not?
Well, apparently, especially as I don't know if this is true or not. But Johnny, we lived in an era where there were no bike helmets. No. Everyone drank out of garden hoses.
Puddles.
You know, parents smoked in the car with the windows rolled up. There were no seat belts.
Oh my God, that's okay. So,
but apparently, as garden hoses age, do your own research. Don't trust me. Apparently, as garden hoses age, they kind of degrade on the inside, and apparently, drinking out of garden hoses can actually be bad for your health.
Yeah, it's not good, especially if they're outside. Like there's other stuff that crawls in there and maybe is alive and whatever. But I was nourished by many a garden hose growing up, Ryan, and I did absolutely fine. The smoking in the car thing is wild because I didn't know this. I thought the fine. I know it's illegal, and it's like punishable in the city by a fine.
Sorry, I thought I had my mic turned off and I just blew my nose.
That's okay. And I thought it was like $380, $400, $500 the most. It's up to $1,000 you can be fined if you're caught smoking with a child in the car.
What?
Yeah, it's wild. I looked it up the other day. I was like, what?
Well, I mean, good.
No, amazing. But I had no idea. I had no idea, but I saw a guy put a reel up about it because he's like, he's a guy from Nova Scotia, but he was in Alberta for the weekend, and he was like, I'm here in Alberta, baby, and first thing I see when I picked up a rental car, I got on the Everett Road, and there's a parent darting in the car.
That has nothing to do with Alberta.
I know.
We were just in Toronto.
I thought it was funny.
We were in Toronto 2 weeks ago. As you guys know, I wouldn't stop talking about it. And Wyatt, our 10-year-old, he looks to me, and he's not trying to be funny. He's not ironic. He's 10. He looks at me, and he goes, does everybody in Toronto smoke?
Oh, why?
Like there was just
this is a bigger city.
It's a bigger city.
Yeah.
That's what I said to him. I said there's 8 times of Edmonton, so it's like you're going to see
more
a lot
traffic,
of people
more sitting in your car. Yeah.
But I see a message here from Emily G in our live chat, powered by Park Power. She says, "What happened to Vicky Mochama?" Absolutely nothing. Check this out. Vicky and I were just actually together on Saturday night. On Saturday during the day, Saturday night. What are you laughing at?
Because your life kind of blends together.
It's all just a big thing.
Sometime on the weekend.
But yeah, Vicky is one of our favorites, and of course does an amazing job. She's working with this organization. As you know, she's an excellent journalist and all that, but she's also on the advocacy side. She's working for an organization called Press Forward, and they're representing independent media creators across the country. And this is us, like at Real Talk and Relay, our parent company, off the top of my head, like the Tai Yi, you've got as soon as I am on the spot, Ricochet, like all the independents, basically, some of them that you probably support. National Observer with Max Fawcett is another good example. These two would be represented, the ones that we're talking about today. So independent media producers and creators, independent journalists. And so they had their national summit. It's called the Future of Independent Media Summit in Ottawa this year. It was in Montreal last year. I'm trying to get them out to the West next year. You know what they told me, by the way? So anyway, to wrap up the Vicky thought, I was with her. She invited me to come out and speak. She's incredible. And she's going to be back on the show kind of ad hoc. I was texting with her yesterday. We love Vicky. So nothing, Emily, she's all good. But it was kind of interesting. I said to Vicky, you got to bring your independent media summit out to Alberta. I said, because there's a ton of Alberta entrepreneurs across the political spectrum. There's a bunch of lefties doing cool stuff. There's obviously a bunch of right-wingers that are doing stuff. Some of us that are kind of a little bit more in the mushy middle. She says to me that they are considering, and this is a huge shout out to a city that in my mind does not get enough love. She says they're considering bringing their summit down to Lethbridge. They're trying to figure out the logistics of because you got people coming in from across the country. There would be no real direct flights. I mean, there's some logistical stuff which you can easily overcome. But she said Lethbridge has like a very vibrant and unique media scene. And so they're trying to get, they're considering the idea of bringing like national creators, like people from across the country to Lethbridge next year. I think that'd be super cool.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
If nothing else, I said, bring them to Edmonton. We'd love to host something here. There's about 200 people. Like it was good.
Nice.
It's really encouraging for me to be a part of that. And again, I just like profess my love to this audience every single day where they're representing you guys. We're talking, they're very curious. Not everyone is. I don't act like everyone's so curious about what we're doing, but a lot of people are like, how are you guys doing it? Like, how have you done 5 years? How have you done 1,000 episodes? How have you had 2 sitting prime ministers in your studio, right?
Write your own playbook.
Write your own playbook. And that's what I said.
We do share a lot.
I said, I want to tell you guys, and I said, the secret to our success is available for $49.99.
Have you ever seen the old X-Men movie? I forget the one with Juggernaut in it.
I'm not a big Marvel guy.
Anyways,
Is X-Men Marvel?
He looks ridiculous, but I would say the easiest way to be successful in modern media and a podcast is to do what Juggernaut does. Run through brick walls until it gets easier and easier and easier. But we wrote it ourselves, right? Like we tried different things. We eliminated stuff.
Yeah.
You fall down, you get back up. But in the end, here we are, and it's a success.
Tommy says he saw a guy smoking with his kids in the car the other day.
Yeah, it's just weird.
He says he was smoking pot. That's a whole other level. I mean, that's DUI, by the way.
Yeah.
Emily says if you don't like Edmonton's tap water, go try Camrose's. You'll appreciate Edmonton's a lot more. I love Camrose. I don't know about the Camrose tap water. I'm not sure.
What are they feeding off?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it the Old Man River?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm embarrassed. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do they drink? I've only ever drank beer in Camrose.
I would think maybe off like mountain, like
BVJ.
like glacier, or what is it?
Yeah. Others of you, this is great from Vamp says.
That's Canmore.
Vamp. Oh yeah. Very different. Imagine thinking that you're going to live in Canmore, but you end up living in Camrose. Camrose is a wonderful town.
I totally had this discussion with someone where they're like, "Yeah, I had this wedding," and they
You
were
went to
like,
the wrong
"Camrose,"
place?
and they're like, "We're getting you a hotel," and I was like, "Shit, this is gonna be awesome." No, they hit the map, Camrose, and then they realized like, "Oh yeah, that is not Canmore at all." No,
still a great place. I love Camrose, but definitely not Canmore.
Camrose gets its water from a reservoir constructed in Camrose Creek.
Oh,
from 2
interesting.
wells within the town as well.
Nice fact check on the fly. This is great from Vamp. Says I used to bring 2.5-gallon jugs of Jasper water, little Athabasca water.
Glass of the Jasper.
Glass of the Jasper. Epcor wants their money back. Vamp says, I used to bring 2.5-gallon jugs of Jasper water back to the city, and says I used to bring my acreage well water into my office. I love that. Vamp Fashion's a water connoisseur. I love that. That's great. It still blows my mind. Emily, by the way, pointing out, says Camrose has some great amenities. I'm not joking. I love Camrose.
No,
I love that part of the province with Tascoin.
It's a bit blindsiding when you think you're going to Canmore.
It would be. You know what you're thinking is like you're there in downtown Camrose and you're like, I hear people are always talking about the mountains. I can't even see them. I don't know what the hell's going on.
People are talking about just the calm, the silence, the nature.
Yes.
I see a creek.
Ken K is not wrong in pointing out that Camrose is way cheaper than Canmore.
That's true.
I can't afford to stay in Canmore anymore. Our families, we're pricing it out. Like Canmore, this is what drives me crazy. And I love how long this episode's going. It's like a teacher strike vibe, right? We're just hanging out with you guys, and our live tuning is not dropping, so we're hanging out with you. Johnny's going to get a parking ticket for sure.
Yeah.
Actually,
I don't want to jinx it.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it.
All right.
What, that they've not been patrolling?
Well, not that. I think whoever is doing it now knows that, especially the people in this building kind of use it, and they've been a little lenient. And whoever was on this patrol before, God bless you for doing a stringent job, but it was like a minute after you're over. It was boom.
I'm intrigued by Emily G's comment here, and so we're going to offer a free shout out here. Emily says that Canmore has the best bra store, the
episode has gone too long.
We've jumped the shark. Fonzie has jumped the shark. It turns out at Cupid's Corner. At cupidscorner.ca. I'm checking out their Instagram right now. Let's check out their website.
We're both going to get in trouble for this when we're home.
Why are we? No, this is, we're supporting women. Just like Cupid's Corner is supporting your girls. helping you to look good and feel beautiful at cupidscorner.ca. That's free. Shout out. You know
Cool.
what? Honestly, we listen. We do a lot of the stuff we do is like paid advertising and promotions. Is how we keep our lights on. We appreciate it. But we celebrate
tip caps.
We celebrate small businesses. We tip caps. Like, go see Cupid's Corner if you're in Camrose. Amazing. Maybe they'll send my wife a bra. There
It
you
is
go.
not in Canmore.
It is in
no,
Camrose.
No location in Canmore.
It's in. Did I say Canmore or
No,
Camrose?
no, but I'm just.
Now you're fucking with me.
Every
Now
time someone says I'm going to Canmore, I'm going to be like, "Are you sure?
Are you
Have
sure?
you checked your reservation?"
Yeah. Okay. Now we're getting a lot of bra content in our chat.
Uh-oh.
It took us 2 hours to get to the good stuff, guys. But here we are. In all seriousness, I do think. Oh, and let me tell you about a quick win before we go, because now that we're 2 hours plus, you might
Alberta
as well just
wins?
keep it going. Let me tell you how Alberta wins with Play Alberta. Let me tell you how Jespo won the other day. So I walk out of our studio, and this is what we'll use to wrap. Don't give me the music yet, though, because I got to tell the story. Hang on. Fact check. Emily in all caps says no. She says the bra store is Bra Necessities. She says Cupid's Corner is
In Canmore?
XXX. Apparently, maybe Cupid's Corner is. What are you talking? No, it looks like they sell lingerie. Anyway, whatever. Now we're doing free advertisements for businesses that may not even be accurate. Bra Necessities. That's a great name. Bra Necessities Camrose. Let's see this business. Bra Necessities, professional bra fittings for everybody. Johnny, I didn't think we'd be talking about this today. But there you have it. Emily's official bra recommendation. Could we maybe get an official bra sponsor here at Real Talk? Find your size at home at Bra Necessities. There you go. That from Emily. We appreciate you, Emily. Emily says we absolutely love her, the business owner. Awesome. Tommy says the water sucks in Sylvan Lake. Everybody uses bottled water. Here's my parking story to close. I walk out of the studio yesterday, in the historic Mercer Warehouse, downtown Edmonton. We love this place. We love being in here. And every once in a while, Johnny, for whatever reason, has parking paid for by us 1 block away, but refuses to park
Not
there.
good enough.
It's not good enough. Johnny does not want to be. I don't think he wants to be recognized. He's a bit of a big deal, and so you don't park literally 1 block away.
It's not that. Now, this goes back to what we're talking about with the mayors. There's construction all around the lot, so you have to cross the street, or you have to open a gate. And
I found a.
There's a little hole now,
there's
but
a
you
little
still
hole in the
you got to
fence.
go along these little lines, and then it's just like,
Yes.
I want to avoid it all in the morning. Yeah.
Kathy, this is incredible. This Real Talk audience is so incredible. The small world nature of it and how plugged in you all are. Kathy says she used to write radio ads for Bra Necessities. Amazing. How is that? It all comes back to the bras.
Music? It's the Bra Necessities.
Hey,
we have to. This show.
So I walk. Ryan, by the way, Ryan, I think lives in Camrose. Don't you, Ryan? Is my memory serve me correct? Ryan says, take Carrie to Bra Necessities and tell Kim I sent you. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to say Emily put it on our radar. I'm going to say Kathy used to work with you, and Ryan thinks that we should be in here too. And then the next thing you know, guys, you're probably going to hear Bra Necessities advertising on the show. This is how the communities work. So I walk out of Mercer Warehouse the other day, and I had paid for parking as well. Don't love, I was also, the truth is I was running a little late for work. I couldn't spare the 1 block walk. I rolled in a little hot for the show. Every once in a while, I'll roll in a little hot for the show. People always say to me when I'm dropping Noah off at daycare, and they'll say, don't you have a show in like 7 minutes?
The pre-roll. Johnny's running the pre-roll.
I go, this is why I don't have time to talk to you. Thank you for being a friend of the show. I got to go. So I'm rolling in hot, so I park outside. I was sure to pay via the parking app, right? And then I was trying to be pretty diligent on it. I had the 2-hour cap. Edmonton will only let you park somewhere for 2 hours, and they won't let you renew your parking. How does that make sense for any restaurant? If I was a restaurateur, what you want someone sitting in your restaurant from 8 to 11 buying 3 bottles of wine. Why are you going to, it drives me crazy. But anyway, I walk out, and you get that little shot of adrenaline when the parking patrol guy
is there.
We used to call them meter maids, but like when the parking enforcement officer is there, and he's got his safety vest on, and he's writing me a ticket.
And you got to be like, this is a human
what?
being. Calm down.
Of course. Oh, yeah. Treat everybody well. I'm not saying but I was like, whoa. I walk up, and I'm like, hey, and I was sure I was diligent, you guys. I set my alarm on my phone. And I said, I've paid for parking. I didn't call him sir. I didn't feel like he deserved the sir. He was trying to issue me a citation. And he shows me, and he just doesn't even say a word, and he just shows me his screen.
Yeah.
And it says, parking unpaid, right? And so I say, and so I show him my phone, and it shows that I had 1:15 left in my parking.
Wow.
And he goes, I don't know what's up. And I looked at, this is Alberta Wins, guys. This is Alberta winning right here. I should have saved this for next Thursday.
You got out of it.
He made a typo on my license plate.
Oh!
Ayo! And he had entered the wrong license plate and was about to write me a parking ticket, which wouldn't
There
have
you
mattered
go.
anyway because it was the wrong license plate.
There
but
you go.
That was Alberta winning right there, everybody.
Well, the other thing is I've gone out there when they're there and multiple times, like what they do is they put it in their little, like the screen, the handheld device they have, and then they start writing out the ticket. And that's a way. So like when you come up and they're writing the ticket, they can be like, hey, it's already in the system. You have the ticket, whether you get in your car and drive away from me or not, accept it.
Yeah.
It's gone, right? But
the days of
God
tearing
bless,
up the ticket. And,
let me just say, I know everyone frickin', I'm not going to use the word hate, but we all despise kind of, people who do this job. But man, the people who do it, how the heck do you do it? I don't know how you would do it.
You
I would
couldn't
guess
pay
that
me
you're
enough
getting
to do that
accosted
job.
every frickin' day. So normally when this happens, I'm like, hey, if I just came down 5 minutes later, I'm trying to tell myself as I walk up to the person, just gear down, calm down.
Yeah.
Like, take the temperature down, because this person probably has the worst job on earth. And if they're doing it, they're probably doing it out of, necessity. So I just try and go up, and the times you are super nice are the times you're going to get out of it anyways, right?
Yeah.
Rather than, hey, listen, asshole, I got a minute 15.
Ambustion says, I don't pay for anything but M-Park. Says it's cheaper to dodge the meter maid and pay the occasional ticket. It is true. If you have an appetite for if you're a real thrill seeker,
if
there's
you're
nothing,
a license plate changer every 3 months kind of person.
Well, that's my Uncle Randy taught me to do that. He says, it costs a lot to pay your parking tickets. It costs less to just go get a new license plate. But I think that's probably oversimplifying the issue.
Yeah.
And that was also 30 years ago. I think they've probably figured that one out. But I will say there's no thrill. This happened to me a while ago. It happened to me like a month ago. I was running late, not late. I mean, I guess I'm my own boss if you're ever really late. But I was right up against the clock. Johnny's texting me like, you coming in? So I roll in hot.
And I never you text me that.
Yeah,
usually.
I know. Yeah. I park outside the building. I forget about it, you guys. Like I'm arriving here at it was like 8:21 or something like that, like rolling in hot. And I park outside. I forgot. I left here at like 5:30
No
p.m.
ticket.
No ticket.
Yesterday,
What a thrill.
I park outside. We had a crazy day with the live stream. Usually I move my car after the show before 11 o'clock. Edmonton, city of Edmonton. I always do it before 11. It's not 11 yet, please. And I go down there. I move it across the street because I'm like, we got a lot of work to do. I got to go right back upstairs. I don't have 10, 15 minutes to walk, go park, all that. I come out at 3:30 yesterday.
Yes.
No ticket.
No ticket.
3 hours of unpaid
And so
parking.
we can't be upset if we get the odd ticket.
No.
We can't be.
Because
by
we're
the way,
given leeway.
Yeah, I always try to. You guys, honestly, I love hanging out with you guys. This is fun. This show's getting a little long. We'll sign off soon, but no one's leaving. So I love you guys. We love hanging out with you guys. Ryan says on my block, no one's reading my comments. What are you talking about? I just talked about you in the bra store. What are you talking about? Vamp says they've had to complain to parking enforcement in the condo complex. All the tickets are wrong. She says the lady that runs it apologizes, cancels the tickets every time. The computer is quirky. Maybe drop off some sourdough cinnamon buns from Friesen Brothers if you want to give her a shout out. Ken says when he was younger had a glove box full of unpaid parking tickets. Yeah. A source of pride, he says. But he says now I always pay.
Well, thanks for hanging out for this long episode.
This has been fun.
I do want to close by saying whoever wins in both Calgary, shout out to our mayoral debate tomorrow, and Edmonton.
Yes.
I'm glad that you came on the show and we got a personal relationship started because Lord knows we got some tickets coming and we got some tickets now. And hopefully the new mayors of both cities or, recurrent mayors, whatever happens, can give us some leeway on some of those.
I was wrong on pinning down Ryan. I thought Ryan lived in Camrose. He says, no, we live in Stettler, my friend. Shout out to Stettler. I love, that's one of my favorite names of a Stettler.
Well, shout out Zamibia as well.
Oh, the country I invented? You asshole. Why do you have
That's
to end with that?
Ryan,
just to make me feel like the dumbest human on the planet. What was the
this
country
is
I
the
invented?
island we're going to buy when we finally hit it rich.
I combined Namibia
and Zimbabwe.
And Zambia.
Zambia, yeah.
And Zamibia. And literally,
but
I want to say 25 emails to the show, including from a high school geography teacher. That was like,
it will be.
Her email was like, did you just invent a country on Alberta's #1 talk show. And I said, I think I did, actually. Yeah. I think I did. I don't think that I will be Mark Carney's next Canadian ambassador to the continent of Africa. I don't think that I will. I think that disqualifies me.
But we will one day have a private island that we live on.
Yeah.
And it will be called Zamibia.
Yes. We'll call it whatever we want. Tony says she loves the name Rocky Mountain House. Says it sounds so rustic.
Sounds like a pub.
My grandma, Norma White, well, I guess I should say Norma Jesperson, Norma White, grew up in beautiful Rocky Mountain House. Her dad was a railroader there, and I've always felt like a part of my heart is in Rocky Mountain House. And we passed through there this year, camping as a family. Rented that there is an RV, Clark. We rented an RV and headed out to Cow Lake. We actually camped on some crown land near Cow Lake. Well, actually 2 minutes from the beach. And it was incredible. Passed through Rocky Mountain House. The Rocky Mountain House saw a surge of interest when Tarnasky this summer beat the shit out of the guy at Alberta Springs Golf Course. Remember the guy? Yeah. And he was the pride of Rocky Mountain House, put him back on the map. But that is, again, I agree. Rocky Mountain House, one of the best names. Ambustion is giving me the green light to wrap the episode. Says Jespo, you can just hang out with Johnny.
Oh, man.
That is what we're going to do.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're not sick of each other. All we do is hang out.
I know. It is. It's a special marriage that we have.
It's a special.
You know who we're underserving right now? We're overserving our YouTube audience and those of you that are still watching us on the social media platforms, because honestly, just quite frankly, this has been a lot of fun for us and we want to do this every once in a while. It's not like radio, right? Like Johnny and I, when we worked in radio, or TV is even worse. It's like, your interviews, it's like this interview has to be 4 minutes and 22 seconds. And I always pride myself on hitting the post, they call it.
And compelling.
And it's got, yeah. Oh, and like get to the heart of the matter and you have 4 minutes. But sometimes every once in a while, like this episode's going to be one of the longest we've ever done. And it's just because we're hanging out with you guys and we love you guys. So thanks for doing it. As Johnny said, and as he reminded you, we will wrap our week heading into the Thanksgiving break with our Real Talk Calgary mayoral debate. We got the 5 big ones all joining us. You got Jeff Davison, Sonia Sharpe, you got Brian Thiessen, Jody Gondek, and Jeremy Farkas. 8:30 Mountain sharp start tomorrow. We're off Monday for Thanksgiving, but make sure you join us for the Calgary mayoral debate only right here on Alberta's #1 talk show, Real Talk. We'll see you guys soon.
Real Talk is hosted by Ryan Jesperson, executive producer Josh Dunford, technical producer John Hicks, general manager Katie Cook-Chivers, account coordinator Lawrence Derlego, human resources Lena Shepard, website design Mike Johnston, voiceover by me, Carrie Skelton, member emerita Julie Rohr. Real Talk is recorded in Edmonton, Alberta on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional and ancestral territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, and Nakota Sioux, home to the Métis settlements and the Métis Nation of Alberta. Real Talk is a relay project. For more, check out ryanjesperson.com.